Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Recentered, the VR podcast with the biggest nose gap. I'm your host Roger this week, and joining me as always, well, first off, we have got the Immersed Robot 3D printing and delivery service. Gary, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, it was good to come to your place earlier this week and drop off the 3D printed parts for your Bobo VR headset. So, yeah, that's me. Everything's pretty much the same as usual. I've not got a lot to talk about, really, except everything that we've got to discuss in the show, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, it's going to be a busy one, so we'll move along. Also here, as normal, we have Daysnetic, a.k.a. the virtual Carmen Miranda, a.k.a. Lee. How you going?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Had a good few weeks. Some of the things we'll talk about later on today, because I know we're already itching to get into this MetaQuest 3, and people listening or watching on YouTube are sitting there with bated breath on our experiences and what we thought of it.
I'm sure they absolutely are. But also this week, joining us, because we've got a new hardware release, and this seems to be our custom now, Steve, how's it going?
It is going fantastic. I am glad to be here for my quarterly or thereabout presence here on Recent.
Yeah, it's always good to have you here to make it at least sound like we know what we're talking about, because I think half the time we don't. But okay,
No, I don't. Everybody knows I don't already.
But yeah, as everybody in the community knows, this past week it's Quest 3 and more Quest 3. That's pretty much the only thing anybody's been talking about. So we've all managed to get hold of one. So I think we can just get straight into it, really. Who wants to kick it off? Anybody got an initial impression, good or bad?
Well, I guess we can go through like first impressions first when we got it, because I remember when probably we'd been here about an hour after we'd got it, we had a quick discussion in Discord just about our first impression, so we can probably go through that. I think the thing that stuck out to me, I mean, straight off, the strap, it's not really fit for purpose, in my opinion. It wasn't great. I really disliked it the first time. The second time I went in, I felt like I'd got it positioned a little bit better, but yeah, comfort-wise, I really wish they'd just... Because we mentioned this when we went in and played a little sort of multiplayer thing as well, where we were saying, like, there's some people that are going to pick up this headset and use the default head strap and just think that this is how it is. They don't even consider the fact that maybe there's accessories or stuff out there as well that they can get, and this is just how comfortable these headsets are, and that's not a good look. I really wish Meta would just do like a very basic, like a basic version of the Elite strap, which is pretty basic anyway. There's not a lot to it, so I don't know why they can't really include that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, comfort was the first thing that stuck out to me. What about you guys?
It's exactly the same. Well, I mean, I will say what I thought of it initially, but I will preface this with saying that I have now got an entirely different opinion now I've modified the headset. I could not stand the comfort and the fit out of the box. I thought it was terrible, to the point that I just didn't want to use it. That head strap is awful for me, and the biggest problem I've got is using glasses. And it's exactly the same problem I had with the Quest 2 out of the box. It's the same problem I had with the Oculus Go. Even the sort of the CV1 to some extent, although probably not quite as bad, although I ended up with lens inserts for all my headsets. But I put this thing on, and it's mashing my glasses into my face, just like every other headset except the PSVR headsets. They're the only headsets I've ever worn where I can wear glasses and forget about it. Nothing else comes close to those for comfort if you're wearing glasses. I know Norm on Tested said his glasses fit perfectly. Just mine don't. And I'm even using like the smallest pair I've got. And the problem being, even though if I'm using a small pair of glasses, to fit my head, which might be wider than normal, I don't know, the arms still have to spring outwards. So the interface of the headset is still gripping the arms of the headset, and any bit of movement is then just moving the glasses and pushing them into my face. So it was an absolute terrible experience to start with. Fortunately, totally reversed now that I've got the old Bobo M2 attached to the headset, courtesy of Gary. Lee, what did you think of it out of the box?
Exactly same, really. The comfort-wise is awful. I'll just go straight out there and say it. I have slightly modified mine again as well. I've got one of those studio form. It's like a band that goes around the edges of the strap and fits onto your head, so it takes some more of the weight onto the top of your head. I actually bought this when I originally had the Quest, and that was uncomfortable.
So that's the horizontal strap.
Yeah. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a band that goes round. Yeah. You can wrap it round. And this goes back to, the original Quest days when that was uncomfortable. And then we had the Quest 2, which was uncomfortable, and the Quest 3, which is uncomfortable. And we sort of, I don't know if we're kind of falling into this trap of, I don't know, I put a comment out I put a tweet out the other day saying I was slightly miffed at the fact that you're paying £600 for a headset that you can't really wear because it's that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But luckily, Meta provide a alternative fascia and head strap to make that comfort for you, which I just find really annoying. And I do take Gary's point of saying, wouldn't it be great if they bought some sort of budget strap out that is comfortable? But if they do that, then there's no incentive. Cut that bit out. No incentive. Yeah. Anyway, there's no way that you're going to buy another head strap if you do that.
Yeah.
But this fascia is really uncomfortable. I don't know what you like with the fascia. I find it worse in the Quest 2.
It's sort of, I've changed my mind ever so slightly, because to start with, the first time I tried it, just using the default sort of, the fabric strap, I had to tighten that thing so tight just to get it to stay on my head. The material really was pressing into my face. I took it off after like 15, 20 minutes, and my face was itching. It felt bad. And I've seen other people call it scratchy and horrible as well. I think is it Remarcus, who owns the VR arcade? He put a tweet out calling it scratchy as well. And I think he's probably tried a fair few headsets in his time.
It could be the pressure thing. Like you say, it could be because I've got the strap that tight to stop it moving. The fascia's really tight to my face and causing that problem. But we all know what happened with the other fascia, what they had to do there. So
I think that's part of it, because with the Bobo one, because the actual interface isn't pressed against my face as much, I was playing last night for an hour and a half, and it wasn't bad. I still don't like the feel of it, but it didn't feel like it was agitating my face at all. Steve, what's your first impressions?
Right there with you guys. For me, it's less of a surprise, I think, because I get a new headset that comes with a soft strap. Like even before I get the headset, I know that I'm not going to like the soft strap. I've never liked a soft strap on any Meta Oculus headset, so I wasn't shocked by it. And I agree with Gary. Like they should have just included the non-battery Elite. And just like make that the default head strap. That's what the CV1 was for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, it had audio as well, but so Lee, you had said, well, they're not incentivized, and I
that's the word I'm trying to say. Thanks, Steve.
On paper, they may not be incentivized, but if I think of like what impressions are they leaving with people who are using this for the first time?
Yeah.
That
exactly.
They don't get that data back on, where it's like this would cost them almost nothing, like to have included the basic Elite strap.
Yeah.
And then sell the battery Elite strap for $30 more or something, just to kind of offset that so that everyone gets that basic Elite. Yeah. And I did end up picking up an Elite battery strap rather than waiting for the Bobo.
I did too. Yeah.
Because, what drove that, and we'll probably, I guess we'll go into it now, sort of. But there's a lot of battery concerns. I don't know if I should say concerns, but a lot of people out there are like, hey, the Quest 3 draw is exceeding that of the Quest 2, and Bobo batteries may or may not live a long time because they can only put out so many watt hours. And I had all the numbers somewhere, but I've forgotten them all. So with all that in mind, it made me go, let me just go get an Elite strap with battery. I get it now. I don't have to worry when Bobo is going to come in stock on Amazon. And I'd never had one of the Elite battery straps before. And one of the things is nice is like in the OS of the Quest, it tells you click on the battery icon and it'll tell you what your headset level is and what the battery is in the strap. And kind of combines them for a generic, but then you can get the individual. So that's something you don't get with a Bobo, right? That kind of data tracking and awareness, like when you're in a long session, just how much longer can I really play?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I picked up an Elite battery strap as well, and it's difficult to recommend because of the price. It's too expensive. It is overpriced, I think, anyway. But it's a fantastic head strap. It really is, and I had one for the Quest 2 as well, and that feature, I don't know why third parties can't tap into that feature where you do get that separate battery icon sort of information. But obviously they can't for some reason. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the Elite battery strap, difficult to recommend, but it is a fantastic, I mean, it's so comfortable, and it really is, it does work well. So it's expensive, and that's the problem, I think.
Yeah, it's the price. It's so off-putting. I mean, I went into a game of Dungeons of Eternity with Philo off of Rendered Reality Discord the other night, and my headset was 100% charged, and I forgot to put the battery on the back. And judging from the Discord messages to knowing the time I came out of the game, I was in that for 1 hour 25, and it took the battery down to 4%.
Yeah.
In 1 hour 25, which
Yeah,
that is not good.
The battery's bad.
Yeah.
I noticed it the other day. I remember, I think I mentioned to you guys on Discord, I was speaking to Game on Scorpio, just speak to him in the home environment, and I was losing 1% every minute. But I've never noticed what the battery draw was like on the Quest 2, really, because I've always had a Bobo M2 Pro on it, so I don't know what the battery's supposed to be like. Is it supposed to be this bad, or is it just because it's drawing more power from the battery? I don't know.
That's the thing.
So the battery in the Quest 3 is about 20 hours, not hours of runtime, but
Yeah.
the rating of the battery. So it's closer to the Quest Pro battery. Quest Pro battery is just a touch larger, but the Quest 2 was 13, right? So the Quest 3 battery is a good 50% more capacity than the Quest 2 battery.
Yeah.
But the XR2, the new chip, is taking more power, and it's what we're seeing in the evolution of the chip space. You know, NVIDIA is doing the same thing. The 4090, you know, it's got a lot more processing power than the 3080 Ti and the 3090 did, but it also has a lot more power draw, right? So for the longest time, we were getting improvements in processing and efficiency. Power draw was staying kind of consistent from generation to generation. These last few generations, power draw is going up with processing capability, and we're seeing the same thing here on these Qualcomm chips.
Yeah. I mean, I went into Synth Riders as well, with it charged up to 100%, and I did have my battery on the back, and I played for maybe somewhere between 20 minutes and half an hour, and when I came out, the Quest was still at 100. So the Bobo sustained the Quest battery, but I'm not entirely, I didn't check to see what the Bobo battery was at, even though you only sort of get an estimate, don't you, with the lights on the back.
Yeah, so people are reporting that they were getting hot, so keep our eye on,
Right.
If it's keeping the Quest topped off, that's great, but if it's getting really hot, then it suggests, I don't really know, I'm not a battery expert, but it suggests that, the life of the Bobo battery may not last as long. But compared to the Elite strap with battery, you can probably buy like 6 Bobo batteries. So you're probably okay in the long run. Yeah,
well, I mean, I've got 2 as it is, and I was thinking of just getting an M3 with an extra battery, so I've got 3 to just swap between. So I've always got 2 on the charging dock. So
I've also heard as well that the Elite battery strap for the Quest 3 is actually much lower capacity than it was for the Quest 2 one as well, and I feel like I'm noticing that because I go into stuff and it just feels like it's not lasting quite as long as I think also people are mentioning some kind of bugs with the Elite battery strap as well.
Oh no.
Saying that the capacity sometimes shows incorrect. It will show 100% and then drop down to 30% or something. I've not really read into that, but I noticed some people were complaining about that as well. So but
what's the betting? What's the rates on? The percentages on how soon the straps will break?
I can't see that happening this time. Surely not.
Are they sturdier? It must be a bit thicker at the sides. I mean, because the actual Quest 3's thicker at the sides anyway, isn't it? So you would have thought the strength of them would be a lot better than because they were quite flimsy before.
So the prevailing theory is that as far as I know, there have not been any widespread Quest Pro straps, which is a lot like the Elite strap, in terms of how it is. And I've not seen anybody going, "Oh, my Pro broke." So I think the thought is that they figured out the plastic based on the Pro. Now, of course, it's a different model. I don't know how true that is, but I got a lot hoping they have it figured out because I don't want to be, dealing with warranty returns on it.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of battery time have you got, Garrett? Have you done a full battery charge on the Elite, or have you, Steve, and then seen what sort of times it's run it down altogether?
I've not run it down completely. I've not, no, but it's gone. I mean, I've used it for well over 2 hours with the battery strap. But yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that spends sort of 4 hours in there in one go usually. So yeah, I've not run it all the way.
No, but it's just nice to have that comfort net, isn't it? Because me and Roger were playing that dungeon scheme yesterday, weren't we, Roger? And I said, look, I've got 65% battery, and we did the tutorial, and we did one map, and I said, I've got to go. My battery light's already, it's already telling me I need to charge. Yeah. So that's as far as I got with it.
I just got mine yesterday, so I did live with the Quest 3 without the strap for a few days or whatever. So I've not given it a full charge depletion to really know.
Yeah, I mean, another part of the comfort side, I suppose, is the controllers, which I think they're possibly my favourite ones I've used yet. They just fit so well, and the lack of the tracking rings is. It's nice to be able to play stuff like you're playing an archery game and you bring the controller up to near your face and you don't automatically hit yourself in the head. You know, it's like I've done that with the touch control. You know, the previous touch controllers with the PSVR2 controllers. You know, you go to draw back on the bow and
so many times I smashed myself in the face trying to get a head crab off my face playing Half-Life Alyx, and like literally smashed the controllers into my headset. So yeah, but it's definitely a welcome thing from me as well. The controllers are fantastic. They're really
I mean, I'm using the batteries that came provided at the moment. I thought I might as well run those down, and they're still showing at 100%.
Yeah, mine are as well. It's bonkers, that is.
Yeah. So, and nobody tempted with the charging dock?
I'm tempted, but it's too expensive. Yeah, I mean, I want a third-party one of those. That's what I want. But I don't know if the third parties will have the wireless charging for the controllers. Not that that's as important, really, anyway, but... yeah, I'm looking, because of the battery issues and stuff like that, I am looking at third parties when they come out.
Yeah, it's that price again, and I know I've seen on multiple forums now people saying that the more expensive of the two models should have come with like a rigid head strap, you know, just to alleviate that extra you're paying.
Yeah.
What do you think to these controllers, Steve, compared to the touch ones? Because you've got the Pro, right? So is there much difference in your opinion on them?
So the Quest 3 controllers are lighter. The Quest 3 controllers have some heft to them. So while they feel more premium and more robust, I don't know that heft is really of any value. Just from a convenience factor, I think I like the Quest 3 controllers better. They seem to sync up and start tracking quicker than the Quest Pro controllers do. The Quest Pro controllers have terrible battery life. You know, so you have to I got into the cycle of every time I charge my headset, I'm charging the controllers, which, you know, they include the dock. It makes it a little bit easier. You know, I'm not swapping batteries or anything, but the Quest 2 and what I'm hoping the same thing with the Quest 3, I just kind of never do anything with the controllers. And then 6 months from now, the batteries will eventually die and I'll swap them out. And then beyond that, you're not managing. You know, the friction is always a big thing for VR. The more crap you got to manage, the more there is to it. So the Quest 3 controllers, it just be very little to manage. You know, and I would be curious if the official dock, you know, they put those rechargeable batteries in it. You know, is that a gain if those batteries last a third along as a typical AA battery or something? And to me, I would consider that a net negative.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out as well, because I've seen people keep saying this, that they think that the haptics are the same in the Pro controllers and the Plus controllers, and they're not. While they've both got the same sort of audio-driven haptic feedback, sort of, I don't know what the actual name of the motor is inside both of those controllers. The Pro controllers have got 2 linear actuators as well, which the Quest 3 Plus controllers do not have. So have you noticed any difference in the haptics?
No, I mean, as you say all that, it's probably true. But I've never been a person. I notice when haptics aren't there.
Yeah.
But I've never been a person that was like, oh, that's not as strong. Like it's not something I recognize. So no, I've not noticed it. But you know, you're probably spot on.
Yeah. Fair enough.
The balance is really good as well, right? The balance is really nice on these controllers. You can just leave them resting in the hands and they're not falling either. was quite surprised they're not rolling to one side, so they're not heavy weighted to either side.
Yeah.
The controllers are one of the definite plus points. Plus, it looks really good. You can see like the battery. I don't know why they've got it on there, but you can see the battery light. The charge of them on the side in MR or.
Yeah, I think it's just satisfying.
Cool.
To see,
it's really nice to see, right?
Yeah.
And they've done the models really good because they've got shadows and lighting textures, even on the controllers in VR. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. The only thing I miss about having the rings on the controllers, and I said this to Lee, is like sometimes when I'm in VR, I suddenly need a free hand. What I'd do, say on my left hand, even though I'm holding a touch controller there, I'd stick a finger or two out and hook my right hand controller over the fingers on my left hand to hold it. And the first time I used the Quest 3, I went to do that and then nearly dropped the controller. It's just like, it's an automatic sort of thing. I've got to
I know what you mean.
And it just went straight past. It's like, can't do that
because I
anymore.
went to put mine on my MVR headstand and I put the Quest 3 on it. I went to put the controllers on it. I was like, I've got no rings for them to hang on.
So that don't work anymore. Yeah.
So the other frustration you all will eventually come across with these controllers is updating the models in like Steam VR. So it's like I've been using the Quest Pro controllers for a while, but in Steam VR, I still get controllers with rings from the olden days. And then an old game, like, testing the Quest 3, I went back and tested a lot of old games like Fallout and stuff. And those games use built-in models, like, you're still getting like CD1 type models or at best, Quest 2 models. So I don't know how long it'll take, if ever, that everywhere updates their controller models.
I went into something the other day and it was showing Quest Pro controllers. I can't remember which one it was, but it was showing the Pro controllers for it.
Yeah.
The Meta itself in the Meta OS, they've got it updated, which you'd expect them to. It's everywhere not Meta.
So let's move on to the next thing because we've so much to get through here.
Yeah.
Let's just go straight down the list, I suppose. The lenses, which I think is probably going to be one of the biggest wins for pretty much most people coming from a Quest 2 or, something like that. I mean, they look brilliant. It's as much as I can say, really. It's just, they're so much clearer compared to like the Quest 2 or, it's... The bizarre thing is, the first time I went into that headset, I was sort of like, I don't see much difference. It's that thing of going back.
Yeah.
As soon as I went back into the Quest 2, I was like, oh, right, I forgot. I'd already forgotten. It's that lack of... There's just so... It's the glare and the clarity with the screens as well. There's a definite improvement there, absolutely.
I've noticed. Did you notice it going to the PSVR 2 as well, Rog? Like, because I went into the PSVR 2 this morning. That was the first time since I've got the Quest 3, and that's when the lenses hit me in the PSVR 2. Because I never had a problem with a sweet spot, although I know a lot of people do in the PSVR 2. And today was the first day I thought, actually, it's not. It's just not quite right, and I found myself adjusting it a lot today for some reason.
Well, I mean, I still give a lot of credit to that CMP2 mod because that keeps a sweet spot on the PSVR 2 for me pretty stable. But yes, the thing I got really was, even though the PSVR 2 compared to the Quest 2 doesn't have as much glare, because you've got the screens and I'm using like lens inserts as well. I've got two, effectively an extra layer of glass or whatever they use to make the lenses in front of me. So you always get a little bit of more reflection, I guess, using inserts or glasses than you would if you just didn't need to. Even though it only sort of feels more like real life wearing a pair of glasses outside, where sometimes you'll get sheen or reflections across your glasses or whatever. Yeah. But in PSVR 2, it never really bothered me because it was a lot better than Quest 2 for anything like that. And again, but it's a step up in the Quest 3 again, which I've got the Zenny inserts. And they're brilliant as well. I mean, they literally just click straight in, and there's just a little tiniest little click, and you think, oh, is that it? And they're quite flush to the actual headset. I mean, obviously they do stick out a bit, but compared with any other lens inserts I've ever used, these are really close to the actual lens of the headset. I suppose maybe it's the Pancake thing, what enables that, I don't know. But yeah, going back to the PSVR 2, it was more. Oh, there's a bit more glare in here than that was the thing that got me. But
there's a haze, so
yeah.
And even if you're right in the perfect sweet spot and everything is the most ideal. And if you're a person that doesn't have to have corrective vision, so you don't have any extra layers of glass, like you mentioned, there's always just this haze, this cloudiness, compared to like the Pancake lenses. And it feels like Fresnel lenses are more like what you would see in a toy or something really, really cheap, and getting these Pancake lenses is like, a good lens that you'd find on a really nice camera or something. It just makes all the difference in the world. And it's what drew me to the Quest Pro, because the Pro lenses and the Meta 3 lenses are very close. I do give the edge. I think the Quest 3 lenses are better. I think they've refined them past the Pro. The Pro would occasionally have, it was a very specific condition, so I don't want to overstate it and make it seem like it was a problem, but I would sometimes see a little, almost look like edge bleed, and it had this kind of orangish, brownish type color cast to it. It was very, very, very subtle, and the Pro was my favorite lenses. Yeah, just on the edges, and the Pro was my favorite lenses until the Quest 3. The Quest 3 lenses are more refined. Either that, or I just have a good sample versus maybe not the best sample on the Pro or something. But in my particular case, my Quest 3 lenses are better than my Pro lenses. They're very close. They're both great, but I give the edge to the Quest 3 lenses.
I will say the Quest 3 has got the best edge-to-edge clarity on any headset I've owned. I can't remember what it was like on the Pimax Crystal, but on the headsets I've owned, it retains the sharpness a lot better than anything else I've ever had.
It's very, going to the Pimax Crystal, it's very good edge. I mean, it's almost the same, honestly, but what I've noticed with the Quest 3 is a slight darkening towards the edge. If you turn your head, I do notice that now, and I didn't notice it initially, but I've found it. And
I didn't notice that until you mentioned it the other day. Then I looked for it, and then I saw it, and I thought, is that a hardware artifact, or are they doing something in software to try and soften the edges? Against it's where it goes.
Yeah, it's like a very, very slight blur, but it's only around the very, very edge where it darkens, isn't it? Yeah,
it's almost like this. The very slightest sort of vignette setting has been turned on. That's really. But I say I didn't see it until you mentioned it.
It's not a problem. I mean, I don't find it to be a problem at all. But I did notice it. And the other thing, just comparing it to the PSVR2 quickly, I know it's sort of Fresnel and Pancake and stuff, but the one thing I noticed with going back to the PSVR2 is it was like a softer image. It was like it was covering over the pixels and stuff like that. And one of the things that people are mentioning with the Quest 3, because the clarity and sharpness is so good, that I feel like you do notice pixels more on the Quest 3 because it's not got that softening nature that I think some people are saying the Quest 2 had, even with the Fresnel lenses, where it sort of softens over the pixels. And the Quest 3 is so, I mean, it really is sharp. But in my opinion, you do sort of notice in some cases the pixels on the edges of certain things more, even though the net benefit, in my opinion, is still good because you're still getting that clarity. But that probably plays into. There's a point on the list with screen door effects and stuff as well, which I think people are saying that this screen door effect is there, and I'm in two minds about this because I think sometimes I'll go in and I think it is there, but then because the screens are tilted slightly and you've got that slightly. Somebody actually mentioned on Reddit. Weirdly, they didn't know what was going on, but they were saying that does this headset have a different pixel arrangement because of what they were seeing? Yeah. And it's because those screens are tilted, it's got this slightly, it does look differently the way the pixels align with certain things, and people are picking up on that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, because they're both tilted inwards, those pixel arrangements are different between your eyes.
Yeah.
It's not even the same. So, and I've seen similar comments on Discord as well. There were people on Discord saying, "I really can't stand this. It looks bad." And to me, it's so individual, isn't it? I can't see it.
I can see it. If you go into anything where it's got like a loading bar, like at the beginning of Red Matter, I mentioned to you guys, you've got this shader compilation thing that it does at the beginning of Red Matter. you can see the aliasing. Like the image behind it is so clear and so sharp because it's not got these parallel lines. But anything you've got like that, you will notice the aliasing on it far more. And Steve, actually, because the Quest Pro has exactly the same thing, this might be something that you might be more used to. I don't know, but what are your thoughts on that?
It probably is. It maybe I don't have a migration issue coming from the Quest Pro, right? In that sense, so I'm trying to think back to when I got the Pro and stopped using other headsets on a regular basis. It isn't something that stands out because as I make a headset shift, right? I'm not all variables are staying the same and only this one variable changing. So it's like when I went from using, say, a Quest 2 to Quest Pro, I was gaining so much. I was gaining the Pancake lenses, the deeper blacks, the better colors, and it's like. I've learned, maybe because I'm not doing podcasts every other week or whatever, but I've learned to not try to pick everything apart. Nothing is going to be flawless and perfect. So, Mura is another thing. People are saying, the Quest 3's got a little bit of Mura, and when I saw that, it made me the next time I got in, I'm going to look for it, and sure enough, if you look against a solid color background, the sky in a game or something, you can see something there, but I try not to focus on it because it's what I'm using, and I'm not getting a $5,000 headset that isn't going to have some compromise anytime soon. So I don't focus on it.
I went into
sorry, go on.
No, I'll say
go on, you go.
We're going to sort video out one day. I went into Walk About Mini Golf to just have a look for this because I'd seen people mention Miura, and I know Bradley was talking about it like it is there but really faintly. So I went into Walkabout to look at the sky in there because you've got in places you've just got plain blue blank sky, and my eyes, if it is there, my eyes can't see it. And I'm somebody who's raged against Miura on PSVR1 and other headsets, and I can see it.
It isn't anywhere near as pronounced as on PSVR2. So if you're looking at it, or any headset in the past that's had a community established Miura issue, Quest 3 is not in that same camp. Yeah, but it's still there. So don't try to find it, honestly, right? Like, why spoil yourself?
That's what I was basically just trying to say. Agree with Steve there, because I tried to find and look for it because you're just trying to look for these things, and if you really keep your head still and slightly move it left and right, you could sort of really see something really, really faint. But I mean, like you say, it's not as if it's when you're playing Resident Evil 8 on the PSVR2 and you're like, oh, what's that? What's that weird effect I'm seeing there? It's something you have to really stare for. And if you're playing the game, you will never see this while you're playing the game anyway. It's super, super faint.
It's really weird because back on the CV1 days, just going back to the sort of aliasing issues, back on the CV1, because that was a pentile pixel arrangement, wasn't it? And people used to complain about that. But for me, I mean, screen door aside on the CV1, I actually like the pentile arrangement because to my eyes, it broke up the aliasing on a lot of stuff rather than contributing to it. It's a really weird thing. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually like the pentile arrangement back on the CV1, but I think I'm in a minority on that one.
Definitely.
But also with the screens, though, I think it's something we've all seen. The binocular overlap, I think we can pretty much say, is probably the worst on any recent headset.
Yeah, this is one of the things which is a bit of a pain, really. And to be honest, I noticed this more. Do you remember, Steve, on VR Roundtable when I first got the Rift CV1? I probably mentioned this multiple times.
I remember this vividly because I didn't understand. I was like,
I didn't. I didn't understand it either back then. I didn't know what it was that I was seeing. And this actually speaks to what I'm seeing on the Quest 3. I don't know if you guys how frequently you go on Reddit. This has been the number one thing that I've noticed anyway on multiple VR-related subreddits. People are coming into the subreddits and saying something is not right. And what they are describing is exactly a binocular overlap issue. Yeah. And it's there. There's no doubt there is a binocular overlap issue. And I think people with smaller IPDs are the ones that are most affected by it. Now, I've got an IPD of 63 and I can see it. I know that there's something there, but to me, it's not enough. I can get over it. It's not affecting me enough to really bother me that much. Yeah. But it's definitely there. And the fact is, if people are noticing this, not knowing what it is, but just knowing something is off, multiple people, multiple threads, and these are not small threads as well. You've got multiple people within the threads saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a pretty big problem that could affect some people. This is not good. And the reason they've done this is to presumably to make the field of view a little bit bigger. And one of the solutions is to lower the IPD lower than your natural IPD in order to accommodate for this binocular overlap, the lack of binocular overlap. The problem is that raises other issues with sort of scale, and your virtual eyes are not in the position of your real life eyes and stuff. I've been reading into this a little bit, you might have guessed. So, I think it could be a bit of an issue for some people, certainly.
Definitely.
So for a layman's term, what is the binocular overlap then, Gary? Sorry, Steve.
It's the amount that each eye can see of the opposite eye. So in real life, because we've got like relatively good peripheral vision, most of each eye can see what the opposite eye can see. It's only the very limits of the periphery that you can't see.
Everybody listening now and everybody watching this on YouTube will be closing one eye and then opening and closing the other eye to see what you mean. But
but in VR headsets, they have limited field of views anyway, and then they further limit the binocular overlap in order to increase the field of view. So the opposite eye, you only need to go into various VR headsets to close one eye, see how much of the opposite eye disappears, and you'll be able to see the relative binocular overlap of different headsets. It's difficult to put a number on this. I don't know how you measure this. There's probably apps that you can get, I would imagine, that can do this.
The RISA database, the RISA, just search for RISA VR database, something. He's got all of the FOVs, and he's pulling it from the software itself, right? These are not subjective measurements. So he's what does the compositors themselves call for. And he's got all the binocular overlaps. And yes, the Quest Pro / Quest 3 gained a FOV, let's just call it somewhere around 10 degrees higher horizontal than the Quest 2. And they lost about 10 degrees subsequently of overlap. The best way to visualize overlap, Lee, is picture like a Venn diagram, right? In a Venn diagram, you got the two circles and you got the part in the middle that overlaps. Well, that's the binocular overlap.
That's a really good way. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
And human vision, we see somewhere around 200 degrees horizontal, and I think our overlap is, and this is going way back to when me and Gary were discovering this issue years ago, but human vision overlap, I think, if I remember correctly, somewhere around 140 degrees of the 200 is overlapped.
There you go.
You look at a VR headset like the Quest 3, and I think percentage-wise, it has sufficient overlap. It's just that the lack of overlap is occurring in your more focused, viewpoint, whereas in our natural human vision, it's more off in the periphery where we're not as focused on it.
Yeah.
So, it gives it, and I think, Fluke, it might not bother you as much, and because it doesn't bother me as much either. But I think if you wear glasses, you're kind of used to having your viewport somewhat obstructed, and every time you get a new pair of glasses, you're kind of going to have to adapt to them because you just have something in your view, and binocular overlap kind of manifests a similar way as someone getting a new pair of glasses.
That's really, that's another good way of putting it. Yeah.
It's probably why I've not really noticed it as much, but I didn't really want to know what it was. I mean, I sort of got an idea where it was, but I didn't really want to know what it was. So when I'm not looking for it, when I go on the headset,
there's actually, I know, like Steve said, don't go looking for these things, but if you want to see it, there's a really easy way of seeing it. Go into a loading screen, load something up that's got a pitch black, dark grey on an LCD screen, but it's got a black loading screen with nothing else around. Yeah, and you can clearly see it because the actual binocular part where you have actually got overlap appears darker, and then on your periphery where each eye can't see what the other eye can see, it's a lighter shade.
And
it almost looks triangular to me. It's like there's almost roundish triangular segments. But you can really see it.
Oh, now I'm going to be looking for that.
Sorry.
The other problem in this space, and I don't know that a VR headset will ever be able to correct for it, and if so, I don't know how, is in our normal human vision, right, we don't have a hard edge anything. We have our nose. Our nose is really kind of the only thing there, and it's not a hard edge. It has curvature and everything to it. A VR headset, like when you run into, like when you're evaluating things like the binocular overlap, you're going to see a hard edge, and that hard edge is going to amplify the lack of overlap issue, because where it stops to overlap, you have a hard edge, and that is more pronounced, than in your natural vision. So yeah, it's there. There's not anything we can do with it. Myself, speaking selfishly, I'd rather have less overlap and more fauve.
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite.
I prefer the Quest 3 approach compared to the Quest 2 approach.
Yeah.
I'd much rather sacrifice a little bit of field of view and just get a little bit more binocular overlap personally. But like you say, I think it affects different people. For some reason, it does seem to affect people with lower RPDs more. There was somebody on Reddit that actually said they've got 58 RPD. They didn't know what was going on, but they can't deal with it. And they were describing binocular overlap issues. So they've had to return their Quest 3.
I'm same as you, Gary, as well. I'm like 63, 64, but I've not really noticed any other issue with it. But I mean, I do love I say love. I'm quite impressed with the LCDs on this, to be honest. But
it's. I'm just going back to Gary's point about the field of view versus the binocular overlap. It doesn't bother me in this headset once I'm actually playing something. It's one of those things I genuinely can forget about straight away, but it's there if I look for it. So that's fine. It's like Miura in PSVR2. I know it's there, but in PSVR2 it doesn't bother me. And I'd rather have this FOV rather than go back to the FOV of the Quest 2. You go back to the FOV of the Quest 2 now. I know there's not massive amounts of difference, but it's instantly like, I don't want this anymore.
No, it's like putting like two empty toilet rolls in front of your eyeballs, isn't it? That's what the Quest 2 is like compared to the Quest 3. It's definitely a lot bigger on the Quest 3. You can tell. You've got that difference, for sure.
Yeah, but sorry, Lee, the screen.
Yeah.
I really like screens. The thing that was worrying me, I'm worried about blacks because I love OLEDs. I love the black levels. I love black to be black. I've got an OLED phone. I've got an OLED TV. So knowing what the Quest 2 was like when I first got that and thinking there was something wrong with it because it was all grey and not black, I was panicking over these LCDs thinking it's going to be bad. But to my surprise, actually, they're pretty good for what they are. So I was quite impressed with them. I don't know what you thought, Rosh. I mean, because we played some dungeons, didn't we?
Dungeons
Why
of Eternity,
it's not totally black. It's certainly dark.
It's extremely dark. Actually, there's points in that Dungeons of Eternity you actually have to light a torch off the wall and take it with you because it's that dark. But yeah, I played that on Quest 2 first, and it's the first game on Quest 2 where I thought, this is really showing up the LCD badly, because the LCD, I'd rather not have it, but it doesn't generally bother me. But in that Dungeons of Eternity, I hated it on Quest 2. On Quest 3, it doesn't look as bad. At least between my two units anyway. You can still see it's LCD, but it didn't bother me anywhere near as much. I think the colours, I mean, they're slightly more vibrant on my Quest 3 versus my Quest 2. There's definitely a bit of a difference there.
There's not so much of a washed out look, is there? It's definitely more.
It's not a massive difference, but it is a difference. Did you notice anything different, Gary, colour-wise between the Quests?
It's been a few weeks since I had my Quest 2, and honestly, I'm not. I like going to the PSVR2. I notice when I'm in there, I notice how vibrant everything is, and I absolutely love it. But I'm not one of these people that really dwells on the black levels of LCD. I've never been somebody that's really been particularly sensitive to that kind of stuff. So to me, it looks great. But to me, it does look great in the Quest 3. The interesting thing, Steve, because you're coming from a Quest Pro with local dimming, presumably, so in certain applications at least. So I'm interested to see how you feel about this from the Quest Pro.
Well, the local dimming on the Quest Pro is global now, so everything.
Okay.
As soon as I go into AirLink or Link, it's local dimmed. I think the Quest 3 is better than I expected. That was if I were to go back 3-4 weeks before the Quest 3 launch, I would have said there's no way that I would enjoy a Quest 3 compared to the Quest Pro. At that time, I'm like, okay, I'm giving up the black levels. I'm giving up some color. I'm giving up, possibly at best sort of a neutral resolution because, we didn't believe them to be independent screens. We thought it was going to be one fixed screen like the Quest 2. Mm-hmm. So now having experienced both, it's it's the Quest 3 LCD screen surprised me. Now, some of that is I think it probably does have a little better contrast than the Quest 2. But also going back to the Pancake versus Fresnel lenses, I think that lack of haze, doesn't make a dull black, which is really gray on an LCD screen. It doesn't contribute more dullness or more gray to it. So I think the clarity of the lenses are giving an impression that the black level is better. And it wouldn't surprise me if the screens themselves, obviously the screens are different than what's in the Quest 2. So it's not out of question that the screens, those are also better. So that kind of goes into it. It's not like, Gary, you mentioned when you go into PSVR2, you can immediately feel that difference in vibrancy. Going from the Quest Pro to the Quest 3, that delta is not there. The Quest Pro is not like a PSVR 2. There's a lot of talk about, local dimming, and it works. It does make the blacks blacker. Of course, you gain a little bit of that blooming effect, but it's not this huge, like, I struggle to really even perceive a big notable difference between the two displays. Yes, if you look at pictures side by side, the blacks in the Pro are better. And in certain scenes, like in a Resident Evil game or something, I do have memory, and I'm like, yeah, I know this part was darker in a Quest Pro. But it's not like the colors, and it's not just this huge, massive difference that some people would lead you to believe, at least not in my experience. And I have both. I made sure I set... I have both the Pro and the Quest 3. It's somewhere around maybe 85% brightness. So it's not like I cranked either to 100%. And it's just not a huge chasm, right, of difference. The Quest Pro is not PSVR 2. I think it's a better way of saying it.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in PSVR 2 over the past couple of weeks. Probably somewhere in the around 40 hours altogether in various stuff, and going between that and the Quest 3, that the PSVR 2 doesn't disappoint me going back to it. Yes, I'd rather those Fresnel lenses weren't there, but what you lose in some areas, that colour and the black levels in the PSVR 2, it still hits me every single time.
Yeah, it does me as well. Yeah.
It's I miss that in the Quest 3, I must admit.
And I will say the Quest 3, I guess we're kind of on screen. We haven't really talked much about resolution, but compared to the Quest Pro, at least it's not a huge jump, but it is sharper.
Yeah.
Like particularly, so I don't play standalone, so I really haven't done anything other than the mixed reality demo standalone on Quest 3, but, jumping in virtual desktop and a little bit of wired link, I perceive that sharpness. And that's something I've always kind of elevated in my value system is sharpness matters to me. So I'll tend to lean towards preferring sharpness and a little more muted blacks than the other way around. So.
Yeah.
Same.
I think I'll agree with you up to the point we're at now. I think I'm sort of on that point where if I had to take an improvement, I'd rather than take the resolution up further, I'd rather have better quality when it came to sort of maybe either the black levels or the FOV. Give me something else now rather than a further increase in resolution. Although saying that, if you're
going quickly on the sharpness I just mentioned there, Steve, it is so much sharper in this headset than the Quest 2. I could never really see in the Quest 2. I've always struggled with the amazing choice they made of having 3 IPD settings.
That's always been a problem on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been a problem for me. But now I've got these 2 screens, I've dialed this IPD in, and the difference in it just blew me away. It's like the first time I've ever tried in VR again. I was so impressed with just the screen loading up and the menu being there. And it's so much sharper. But I think if someone getting this as a first headset, I'm going to come into it with all the same trepidations and thoughts that we might.
Well,
I think
amazed.
A lot of my context is Quest Pro to Quest 3, but compared to Quest 2, I mean, this feels like a generational leap. I mean, it is a flat out no-brainer, massive across the board improvement. I think for someone who's never had VR before that comes in, I think their shock, because we know a lot of people are playing their PlayStation 5s or whatever on 4K TV. And when they tried something like a Quest 1 or a HTC Vive, they would see that massive drop off in perceived clarity and resolution. I think here with Quest 3, at least, from a PCVR, link perspective, it's still, not as sharp as their 4K TV, but it's not going to feel as drastic of a fall off as it would have been 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So that evolution, I think, does kind of make, I think it can hopefully help, I guess, more people get into VR.
Yeah, maybe. It's talking about quality though, and not looking like a 4K TV. What does everybody think of the whole pass-through and mixed reality thing? Which is this is the big thing that Meta have been pushing in their advertising. It's like, experience your real world in a whole new way.
Well, yeah,
I struggled with it. I struggled with it. I struggled with first setting up the Quest 3 to put somebody straight into that mixed reality where they're going to immediately bring their hands up to the face to have a look at the hands, and it's going to warp for them. And it made me feel quite motion sick straight away. I really struggled to try and set it up, and that's honest truth. But after that, I do tend to use that a bit more now because it's just for easy use. I can walk around the living room, I can have a quick word with the missus, or I can get a quick drink, or I can do things on the PC while still wearing the headset because it's that clear. And I did play that. Is it First Encounters, Rog? The one with the furry creatures? I think I put a video up, but I played that, and that quite surprised me. I really enjoyed that. I mean, my house is a bit messy, and I've tried to make it like a normal living room that everybody lives in, so like rocks on the floor and things like that. So take notice of that. But what I will say is, I was quite surprised at how it does scan, because it really scans the room. Really clever now, doesn't it? And then I had the things running up the walls. It was hiding behind the chairs and stuff. Probably get onto occlusion later. That's a big pet hate of mine. But I was quite pleasantly surprised. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought, and I'm interested to see where they go with it. But I'm interested to see where they go with it in 6 months to a year from now, when they've refined the software and got it looking a lot better than what it is. One thing to mention, it will look a lot better on videos that you've recorded than it actually does in the headset, for me anyway. I think it's one of these where, as with any photography, any camera you're using, lighting is key. If you've got the right lighting and continuous lighting set up, then it may look even better for you. But for me, I just had that slight drop off in quality.
If you have a load of natural light coming into your room, it looks a lot better than, like, in the evening. If I use it in the evening with the lights turned on, it's nowhere near as good. But if you've got a load of natural light coming in, I think it looks a lot better. And to me, it is what it is. It's good enough. The thing with mixed reality is that I've got to be honest. I really, really like this part of the headset, and I didn't necessarily think, I wasn't blown away when I saw the quality of the pass-through initially or anything like that. But this is one aspect that I think is done really well, and it's because of the depth sensor, in my opinion. Because first of all, the digital objects are rock solid, and I mentioned this to you guys when we spoke about it initially. One of the things that sells the illusion far better is if everything is coordinated with your real world much better. And in this case, it really is. Like, just watching this video now, this is Lee's video that he recorded. Yeah. And you can see that ship that landed on the carpet. It's rock solid. There's no sway, there's no movement or anything like that. And that sells the illusion. This is the number one thing that I think is important. Yeah. And I feel like this is the fact that it's got this level of pass-through. Of course, we want it higher resolution, stuff like that. But it's got this stereo, it's corrected, it's proportionally correct, it's geometrically correct. Nothing, I mean, there's a little bit of course, like warping and stuff like that, especially when you move your hands in the way. But to me, this is like the bottom rung of a ladder that just needs to be climbed now. It just needs to get this part of mixed reality just needs to get better. And it's better than being at the bottom of or halfway up a ladder that is probably in the wrong direction, which I think Passthrough was previously, where it's all not the correct scale and stuff like that. So whether
it definitely surprised me. Sorry, go on.
But well, I'll just finish off. I think that you can certainly criticise the clarity of the Passthrough. I mean, there's no question that you can criticise that and say it's not that great, because I don't think it's that great, but it's sort of good enough to understand what it's all about, at least, I think.
I think the best thing I can say about it is, on the Quest 2, I never used the pass-through. Even as my default home environment was just like random, one of the random virtual environments that's on the headset. That was it. I always left it on that. I could not stand the Quest 2 pass-through. The other day on this, I'd switched to I went to have a look at the Asgard's Wrath home environment, because obviously anybody who pre-orders the headset, who's bought the headset, you can reserve a free copy of Asgard's Wrath 2, and it's worth pointing out you actually get the Asgard's Wrath home environment, which was a pre-order bonus. And as Steve pointed out the other day, if you've never had Asgard's Wrath 1, and you've redeemed your free copy of Asgard's Wrath 2, or the pre-order for the sort of a pre-order bonus for it, you also get Asgard's Wrath 1 on PC. So that is there in your library now, if you'd not noticed.
Yeah, I can.
I want to caveat: it's in my library, but because it's 140 gigs, I have not installed it.
I was about to say the exact same thing. I noticed how big the install was. I was like, at least I've got it, I suppose.
So it shows in my library, and I assume it will run if I install it and play it, but I've not confirmed that.
Yeah, but but I'd been into that home environment, and then I was looking around, and I wanted to grab something from in my room, and for the first time I didn't think to just lift up my headset. I thought, why can't I see that? Why have I got the pass-through enabled? And now the pass-through is enabled as my default home thing, and I never ever did that on the Quest 2 before, because I think you're right, Gary. It's far from perfect, and it's got problems, but it is good enough to be on that. It is that first rung on the ladder. Yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough for that.
Yeah,
and that first Encounters demo, it's when that started. It's I've got like a maybe a 2x2 meterish sort of space, where my sort of play space, and then over near the door in the corner, there's a tiny small bit area, probably less than a meter by a meter, sort of past the sofas, and that had, the headset had mapped that out as well as a flat bit of space, and it actually landed that rocket over there out the way.
Yeah,
and I thought, because it's like some of it was occluded behind one of my sofas, and all the stuff, where your ceiling falls away when the rocket first lands, some of the particles and the bits of ceiling had fallen behind the sofa, and you sort of, I leant around and looked behind it, and the rubble is behind the sofa, and it's like, that works. The edge of my sofa had gone a bit polygony in the way it had mapped out had mapped the room out, but it's like, that's sort of working now, and I was sort of impressed with it.
Just impressed, like you say, with the bits. Sorry, go on.
I say my experience mirrors you all. It was pretty solid. I have a open concept basement that my play space is in, and I keep my kind of day-to-day play space is probably 3 meters by 5 meters. But the basement goes on probably 12 meters, and what it did, I have a pool table, I have stuff, I can't just play in a play space that big. But what the MR function did when I played First Encounters is it threw up a fake wall. It would not fake it that whole distance, so it threw up a fake fourth wall that kind of broke the immersion, right? Because then I had the aliens and stuff were coming through this wall that really wasn't there in my room. And, maybe there's ways I can pay more attention when I'm scanning and setting up the space to maybe avoid that. I don't know. I didn't really care that much to really test its limits. But I just want to throw that out there, that there seems to be some sort of limit, and they will draw a fake wall, which has its obvious downsides.
That's weird, yeah. I mean, the other thing that I'll show a video of as well is the pass-through of me just using the 3 browsers in the Oculus menu as well, which I've been using, not this, honestly, I've been using Virtual Desktop, where I've been just sitting at my dining room table and having the ability to just transport my 4K monitor from my office into the dining room table, pair it with a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and operate a desktop anywhere in my house that I want to. This aspect is fantastic, and I'm in the room and I can see what everybody else is doing. I can interact with them and this kind of stuff. All of these kinds of things. I know it's not probably what people want to do in general. But these kind of little additions to this technology is massive to me. I absolutely love this aspect of it as well. And like my 4K monitor, I can place it above my dining room table, have like 4 quadrants of 1080p display. So I've got YouTube going on in one, I've got Google Docs in another, maybe Discord or something like that. And I'm just sat at my dining room table. And yeah, this is a big win for me. I suppose it's different because I'm usually, if I'm in my office and using my desktop, I'm separated from my family. I don't interact with them. But now I can just take the Quest 3 over to my house and use it like that and still do all the stuff that I want to do on my desktop PC. So these aspects are really great as well for mixed reality, I think. But yeah, it's an exciting thing. And I think if developers show us some stuff that we've not even thought about with this as well, that's where it's going to get really exciting. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, no, I mean, I totally agree, because we've gone from the Quest 2, I know we've said it before, but I never use Passthrough. I can look through the front window of my house to see the land of grey, so why would I need to do it virtually? and you can't see anything in it anyway in the Passthrough, it's that bad. And to have this now, I'm sorry, I've just seen the video that you put up. If you're watching this on YouTube now, you'll see my outfit, and we're in Gary's workspace.
Oh,
This was something that Rog mentioned. Yeah.
This was freaky.
Yes, it was.
This was proper freaky.
So we were playing Walkabout Mini Golf, and then, Rog, you'd heard somewhere that in the home environment, you can just invite people in over to your home, as you usually can in the Quest, but then you can go to Passthrough, and then they're in my room, they're in my play space, and this was bonkers. So that's Lee, the one who I thought was going to give me a lap dance at one point, but...
I'm ready for the treadmill.
So hold on, I'm realizing something in real time here. So you are seeing them in your space. Are they seeing your space also?
No. You see the other people in your own space, which was, so it's equally trippy because there's like Lee and Gary was stood in my living room, and it's like, this is just bizarre. Do you know what? It's not very often it happens, but even though everybody's seen, been interacted and talked with, friends or played games and seen their avatars there before. Seeing them in your own space, even through that sort of lowish res pass-through, there was something really odd. And it was, I hate using the word presence because I think it's an overrated term. There was something that made them more present in my space than I've ever experienced in any VR experience before. It was just it was such a strange innate feeling. It was bizarre.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
Plus the legs thing now as well, because I've not seen the legs. I've been that long since I've had the Quest 2. I've not known that they've put legs in, but I've not seen them. And it now enables me to wear my pretty skirts and things like that. So that's a different bonus my end. But no, that was really weird because you mentioned it. Like I say, Roger mentioned, do you know that you can see each other in passing?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
My mate Paula, she sent me a video and goes, a mate of mine should bought a Quest 3 as well. Have you seen this? And he sent a video of his friend stood in his kitchen, and I'm thinking, what? It's like, it's just, really
Plus you can
strange.
see like the individual fingers and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm struggling a bit today. Fibro's kicking in. But it's the finger, hand tracking has improved quite a lot, because I'm not really a big fan of the hand tracking, but I've been playing around, like moving my fingers around and stuff, and it picks them up perfectly.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's a lot better. So my daughter went into Vacation Simulator, which has got hand tracking in there. She's still not a believer. She says, no, it's still no good. I still can't play the game with it. I think it's improved. I think it's improved a hell of a lot. And I can use it perfectly happily for certain things. Still not fit for purpose for gaming, I don't think. Like, if you want to play a game with it, you're screwed, I think.
Yeah, I think there's still a massive amount of work and maybe even better technology needed for proper hand and finger tracking. It's the update as well of your hands in the pass-through. It's just so laggy. It's like it's just not good.
I'll speak a little bit to the differences with the Pro. The Pro was way better than Quest 2, and Quest 3 is improved upon the Pro. So in the Pro, I could use my phone. I have an iPhone, and if I swiped and lowered the brightness to bare minimum, I could kind of see my iPhone and punch in my passcode, because Face ID obviously doesn't work wearing a VR headset, and could answer a call or call somebody. But it was it had all those cumbersome layers. In Quest 3, I now have the utility. I don't have to. I still need to lower the brightness down some from max in order to be able to see it. I can see my Apple Watch, so interacting with my environment is better of an experience on Quest 3. It's just a little more useful. It's still not where we want it to be because. In even with a lot of lights on, I have overhead recessed lights and stuff. It's not enough. It's not natural light, so it still has that graininess and issues there. But it's far more serviceable, and it's a big improvement. They got a ways to go for it to be more seamless, like I think they want it to be.
Yeah. Just going on to the next thing we've got list, we've got controllers and tracking quality. And I know we mentioned the controllers before. Did we talk about the tracking quality? It's totally slipped my mind. Because from my point of view, these controllers do not track as well as a Quest 2 does. And that's
interesting.
Really? I found these a lot better.
An hour and a half in Dungeons of Eternity last night, I lost... the tracking was just not there on multiple occasions.
The bow.
Yeah.
The bow thing's a problem. I must admit, I'll agree with you.
The weird thing is, a lot of for most of the time, it did work. So it's not like half the time it did, half the time it didn't. It's low percentages, but those low percentages stand out. And sometimes it's almost as if the controller's drifted off to the side slightly, and then at other times it just lost it for a second, and it's just like this just does not normally happen. My lighting conditions are really bad. I will say that. But I'm comparing the same lighting conditions from Quest 2 to Quest 3. So
you played this game. You played a good chunk of this game on Quest 2 before you got your hands on the 3, right? I think did you say that earlier?
Yeah, not as much of, but we did. Yeah, because I played it. I played
so you have a more immediate
Quest 2,
back-to-back reference.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
I've not noticed it, but I've not played anything with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
I think it's a weird thing of you've got to put your hand behind you're like quite behind the top of your shoulder, right, Roy, to pretend to pull out.
Yeah, but it's not even that, because when I use a bow and arrow, I've got quite long arms, so my left arm is held quite straight out in front of me, and I generally hold the bow horizontally. I'll put the arrow in and pull it back, so my hand is still in front of the headset. It's not behind it. I'm talking about just shooting, and sometimes it was absolutely losing the tracking.
But this game's brilliant. But we'll talk about it later. The game itself.
Yeah, it is. But just to weigh in on this, I've not had any issues with tracking at all so far. But I think because I usually use like 11 table tennis for tracking stuff, and it's been absolutely flawless for me. But certain things, maybe, I don't know.
I think it's something to do with how close I'm pulling the controller to the headset, because you're using a bow a lot in that. So it is that it's my right hand as it's coming back. I was playing Synth Riders, and that was 100% flawless.
Yeah,
but you're holding your hands out and in front all the time. So there's there's a distance between the headset and the controllers, and obviously you're keeping your hands in front of you at all times. And I never had any issues there. It was specifically with Dungeons of Eternity, but then again, I can't comment on many other games because I've not really played that much else.
I used to have trouble with pool games, like playing 8-ball pool and playing 4-ball pool when you put the arm back. It used to lose, but I even tried a bit of that earlier on without even loading the games up. I sort of looked down in my home environment and I tried to move my arm back. It's simulating I was doing a pull shot, and I could see the controller still moving in my hand, so it was definitely picking it up to the side. Because I think these headsets do pick quite... I think they're about doing like upper body movement and things like that, aren't they? And incorporating that in future. So it may pick a wider area up down to the torso part and to the sides a bit more, but perhaps not around the back.
No.
I know a lot of people seem to, at least with Quest 2, use stuff like IR emitters, don't they? Like little stations to set up to like flood the room with IR light, and that's supposed to help with tracking. So I've been meaning to look into that for ages, and it's something I've never done. I think maybe I will see what solutions are out there to see if I can improve the situation, because saying all this about the tracking, my lighting situation, even on the brightest settings in this room, is not great. And even during the day, once you get past sort of midday here, the actual amount of natural light drops off pretty fast because the sun's totally around the opposite side. So this is probably not the ideal room for playing VR in either. So that that could be a contributing factor there. Audio quality. I've never had much of an issue. Well, when Quest 2 launched, I did have an issue with the audio quality, and they must have changed the sort of like the EQ profiles or something over time, because as it's got sort of like gone on and on and on, I've just sort of pretty much for 90% of the time stopped using headphones with the Quest 2. If I were playing something like Beat Saber, then yes, where music's important, headphones would go back on again. But for a lot of stuff, I never bothered. With Quest 3, I think to me it sounds better. The audio sounds a lot better. Although I think James on Rendered Reality Discord had said it sounds the same between Quest 2 and Quest 3 for him. But again, playing Synth Riders last night, where normally in a music game I'd be thinking, this isn't good enough. To me, it's reached a bar where, okay, yes, nowhere near as good as dedicated headphones, obviously, but it's reached that point where it's like, yeah, I don't need to bother with headphones anymore. But I don't know if I'm in a minority there, or what's the opinion?
I thought
Not my opinion. I still want headphones. I do think though that it's way better than my memories of the Quest 2.
Yeah.
I do feel that the built-in audio was, I'll say, serviceable. It's doable.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be like, if the decision was you can't have headphones, I'd still play VR and use the built-in audio. Whereas I think in the past I would have just would play VR then. So it to me seems way better, but I still want headphones, and I'm waiting for someone to create like a globular cluster or somebody to come out with headphones that I can put on this Elite strap. For now, I still have the old PSVR Bionic Mantis that have been cobbled up and stretched out and taped up, and I've literally taped them to the Elite strap so that I have headphones. But no, I think the built-in audio is
I'm absolutely fine with it, honestly. Yeah, to me, I don't think I've got any need to wear any headphones. I think there's a difference for me. Like if I'm putting on my favorite album, I want absolutely perfect audio quality. If I'm playing VR, I deal with, a lot of the times I will deal with it unless it's ridiculously bad. And to me, like the Quest 3 is perfectly fine for playing most. Yeah, pretty much everything, I think. Like even, I mean, then again, I'm sort of starting to question myself even now, because if I was to play PC VR, and I don't know, maybe I've got a different criteria if I'm playing PC VR stuff, that I would want to have some better audio for certain things maybe, but I don't know. I think for the most part...
That's my difference. So yeah, I think I'm only viewing this from a sort of a PC perspective.
Yeah. It might be a different case maybe, because I think when I think about going into Elite or something like that, maybe I do want that extra audio. But for the most part, while we're using it, I think it's perfectly fine anyway. And it does sound better than the Quest 2 from memory anyway.
Well, it's a massive difference, I think. So, plus, it's really loud as well. So just a quick warning, if anyone that picks one up, make sure you turn this volume down, because I've got it set to about 3, and that's still pretty loud. And I'm partially deaf, so you think I'd want to ramp it up. But the bass levels on it, the clarity of it, they've definitely improved the speakers in quite a big way, in my opinion. Unfortunately, they've gone the other way with the microphone, but I don't know if you want to talk about how bad that is.
Yeah, I've not noticed with the microphone, but you could probably ignore my opinion on this, because unless a microphone is drastically bad, it's one of those things I don't really pick up on a lot. As long as I can understand what the person's saying.
I mean, it was all right yesterday when we were playing games and stuff. I think I should probably clarify, but it's more on the recording side. So if I'm recording people, it's peaking a lot, it's popping a lot. They need to tweak that somewhat.
What I noticed is when we went in Walkabout Mini Golf and we were using not the party chat, but the actual Walkabout audio, that sounded worse than the Quest 2 audio to me, for some reason, for the microphone. But yeah, I don't know if that's sort of general thing, but I've heard people complain about it. And this also plays into what people are saying about this, how there seems to be sort of almost differences, quite more radical differences between units in terms of quality and stuff like that. Which we don't know, there's no confirmation on that or anything, but some people are saying that the microphone is worse on some units than it is on others. So
I say, I just, it's one of those things I just don't notice. As long as I can hear what the other person's saying, it sort of goes over my head. And just going back to the headphones as well, it's like the more I can remove from having to wear on my head, because I've already got headset on, I don't want headphones as well. If it's serviceable enough that it's more comfortable, then I ditch the headphones. I'm all for that.
That's the way I am as well. Anything that I can stop having extra things that I've got to put on my head after I've put on the VR headset, I'm well into that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with audio quality anyway. I used to very rarely use headphones with the Quest 2. I used to get told off playing multiplayer. They were like, I can hear somebody's music coming back through my mic. Is it you? If you've got headphones on, I'm like, oh no, it's me. But yeah, like the Pico 4 was pretty decent. A lot of people didn't like that as well. But yeah, these ones are really, really good. I think people will be really surprised at how good the speakers are.
I know, Steve, you're a bit short for time. Is there anything else you wanted to sort of discuss on what we've got on the list there?
Well, I mean, I think everything on the list still sounds great to get through.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and the lack of specific games. There's nothing that really this is not a console launch, right? This is just a new headset, and you play the existing stuff and the stuff that's coming to Quest 2 anyway. And I never expected them to have like a Quest 3 exclusive or anything at this point, but they could have maybe released a new title for Quest platform that kind of just celebrated or was somehow otherwise tied to the Quest 3 launch that kind of gave it a little something, to get excited about on the software front, but they didn't.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's entirely being, look at all your existing games you've got. Look at how much better they're going to look now. And look, there's a mixed reality mode as well.
Yeah,
it's everything has been that, hasn't it?
It's been. I mean, what it is Asgard's Wrath 2, but it's not out. That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, that's what would have been the thing that they should have done, if possible, to get Asgard's Wrath.
Yeah, but even that's coming to Quest 2 anyway.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
this is it. I'm a bit confused on how developers are going to do this for Quest 2 and 3. Are they just going to give the Dungeons one, we've got like a little tab, haven't we, where it says enhanced graphics, and you just click that, and admittedly it does look way better with that on the Quest 3, but how are they going to do this?
I saw somewhere where a developer or can't remember who, but they had said that when you're developing for Quest, that you're only developing for it's by default the native resolution or our target resolution for say Quest 2, and that they don't have to make any changes for it to be a higher target resolution for Quest 3. So it's like they're just making their game, and it's going to run at 1x, whatever 1x is. I don't remember what that is, but it's going to run at 1x. And then when that game is ran on Quest 3, it's going to run at 1x, but that 1x is higher than it would be on Quest 2. So I think that takes some of the developer legwork out, but obviously they have to somehow manage something if they're going to have different textures and different, shadow capabilities, like what Red Matter 2 devs did. I don't know how they manage those differences.
I mean, we're going about it every month. We're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said something similar to the difference between if you had a PS5 Pro console versus a PS5 console. How would the differences be managed? And it sort of, I mean, it sounds like you'd just do it as if you were doing a PC game where you'd have different sort of settings available on a PC game. You can turn the textures up, can't you? You can turn the anisotropic filtering up or down or whatever, except those settings would be locked, and the lowest setting would be for your base machine, and then the high setting would be for the for the higher spec machine. So but overall it is disappointing that we've had nothing at launch, and that Asgard's Wrath 2 December.
I think so. Yeah.
It's not even if it's it's a bit of a shame on that front.
Happy birthday to me. I don't know what date it exactly comes out. Is it towards the latter of December? I'm not sure. It just says
I've got 15th in my head, but I could be making that up. Right. I can't remember.
So just on this point though, so you've got some graphically enhanced games and stuff like that, which we're getting the benefit of. But also, I think some of it as well is playing some of the stuff in mixed reality, like Thrill of the Fight. I mean, that's so much better in mixed reality just because you're aware of the play space and stuff. So some of the games have had updates for mixed reality that helps with this kind of launch as well, I suppose. And like table tennis as well. Table tennis is 11 has been updated. Well, it's probably had this update for a long time. It just means it's more compelling to go in on a Quest 3. But yeah, a proper like exclusive or something like that is definitely lacking, I reckon.
Yeah.
Do you think they've done that though, not to antagonise the Quest 2 users, because they might be like, well, where's our game then? Or do you mean like Quest 3 specific just for this headset alone, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? They're not doing anything specific for the Quest 3, which is probably... Yeah. I don't know. I do feel like that's a mistake, because you get a new console come out, you want exclusives, don't you? Or launch exclusives. So if they're not doing that, it's like a way of appeasing everybody that bought a Quest 2, which is great because there's millions of people, but at the same time, you want a bigger launch, you want more of an impact, and they're not really delivering that.
Yeah. I mean, even if you could have played it on a Quest 2, there's still no new titles come out. The only thing I've seen is that BAM, which which when I saw the video of that, I thought it was going to be like a free demo game, and it's not. It's £11.
The problem is that this speaks to as well. Going forward, what are we going to have? The thing is, if devs are constantly drawn back to the Quest 2 as the baseline, or maybe they'll work to the Quest 3 and work back to the Quest 2. I don't know how they're planning on doing it. And then we've got this rumour of a Quest 3 Lite, which I don't know if you guys saw, but there's some information on that, which is saying it's still going to be an XR2 Gen 2 chip in there, but it's not going to have any mixed reality. It's going to have black and white pass-through, same as Quest 2 and all of these other things, which seems counterintuitive when the direction that Meta seems to be going in is this mixed reality route. But I don't know.
I've heard Fresnel lenses as well in it.
Yeah, so Fresnel lenses.
No. But it's got one thing going for it, which the Quest 3 hasn't, and that millions of people will buy it for one reason alone, and that is price.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, if they've got this, like if that Quest 3 Lite at $200, that will be a pretty big. I mean, that will be pretty big, I think, but not necessarily pushing it in the direction that we all want to go. No. But yeah,
it'll depend on what the difference is between a Quest 2 and a Quest 3 Lite. Like, if it's not that different, I guess it'll have the different chipset. But
yeah.
In the end, it goes back in, and we always inevitably get into the business of VR and what is Meta doing, and are they doing the right thing? You know, they create value. Like, I think this Quest 3 is a fantastic value, but I'm someone already in VR. I don't know exactly what it does for those that aren't already in VR, and we know that that's kind of what Meta is trying to do, is grow the market so that, you know, their Trojan horse of the metaverse and all that can come to fruition. But I don't, we saw news, it was right as Quest 3 was dropping, or maybe a few days before, that they had to revise sales estimates. And I don't know how true all that is necessarily, but it's not a shocker that the Quest 3 won't sell as well as the Quest 2, given that big cost difference. And even though I like the Quest 3, I think it's a fantastic value proposition. I'm already in the sphere, right? Like, if I'm outside the sphere, yes, this is a better headset, but it also is a higher cost, and it still has the problem of, to me, of content, right? Like, there's nothing that's going to lure away, per se, the God of War and Call of Duty, and now Starfield, and these are all games that have flaws and have their downsides too, and Flatland, but it's the same story that has been for the last several years, just with Pancake lenses.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's the same story. It's what PSVR2's had, isn't it? It's like, where is the unique and compelling stuff to lure the people away from Flatland? The people who've already got a PS5. It's it's bonkers. And we've always heard for the longest time it was the PC, it was the cable, and it's like, no, I think it's the software. I've been saying that for 6-7 years now. So it's the software. But did you guys see? I don't know. I pay a lot of attention to mods, and that's where all my VR time goes these days. But we know the upcoming Prey Dog
Unreal Injector mod, but there's videos going
Tekken.
around. Yes, where I guess the mod will be able to work with virtual desktop, and they'll be able to chroma out, the background, and you'll be able to do some mixed reality stuff with PCVR. And in this particular video, they were playing, I guess it was Tekken, the fighting game, and they were fighting on the couch or whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's kind of like the First Encounters. Like, it was cool, but it's not like I'm not booting into First Encounters every week, right? I kind of think that this kind of might fall in the same camp.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a big space though, there'd be no reason why you wouldn't maybe able to scale that up. So you've actually got life-size Tekken characters in your room fighting.
Yeah.
That'd look pretty crazy.
Yeah. I was going to say, Steve, as well, I don't know how much time you've got left, but I did want to get onto these last 2 points quickly on the list that we've got down here.
Yeah, I think I got about 10 more minutes, and then I need to speak.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because, go ahead on these last two.
The last couple things is we had, I had some experience. So with the RTX 4000 series, NVIDIA has an AV1 encoder chip on the card. And the Quest 3 has AV1 decoding capability. So what this means with is an encode and decode. It's the way they package up the video image, go into the headset and compress it, and then it gets sent either wirelessly or through a link cable if you use link, and then gets decoded on the other end and displayed in the headset. And if you can have a more efficient encoder and a more efficient decoder, then you can send the same quality through a smaller pipe, in improving latency and things like that. So AV1, it's very early days. So right now, the only way you can leverage AV1 is wirelessly and only through virtual desktop at this point in time. Oculus has not made AV1 available to the Link or AirLink side of the equation. It's presumed there's nothing stopping them. They should be able to, but they operate on their own timeline. So before, with Quest Pro and Quest 2, I had better performance out of AirLink than virtual desktop. And then I learned, unless I was playing something that really made me want to drop the cable, I actually used wired link. Like if I was playing cross mods or something, I just used wired link to take that wireless element out of the equation and get a better bit rate. So I've tested this week AV1 wireless through virtual desktop, and it seems smoother than AirLink was for me. And I'll love to one day be able to compare if Oculus ever updates their side to test the AV1. But I like it. I was playing RE8, and it felt like wired link to me. I really couldn't tell a difference. A really good torture test though for wireless streaming is like Fallout 4. Like when you come out of the shelter and all the aliasing and the noise that all the empty tree branches and stuff make in that environment. And it virtual desktop, I had it set to auto regulate the bandwidth, and it looked like total trash on AV1 with auto regulated bandwidth. So then I went into the settings and I set it for fixed 150 megabit a second, and it looked way better. But there were portions of the game where latency would come in, and I think it was more the game than the transmission protocol. So there's a lot of techno jargon and yada yada, bits and bytes and codecs and it's all to say that I think we're week one of a new encoder and decoder, and it looks very promising. Right, that's my takeaway. I think as of right now, I would choose AV1 over virtual desktop over I would X264 or X265 via AirLink. So right now it's the winner. Unfortunately, you have to have a NVIDIA 4000 series in order to leverage this codec. But I'm happy. This is the type of thing for me, and it's kind of going to get into the next thing. Is like I'm kind of caught in this conundrum between Quest Pro and Quest 3, and if I had to decide right now, I think with the utility improvements of the better pass-through, the slightly higher resolution, the fact that the black levels and the colors, while better on the Quest Pro, aren't, it's not extremely night and day. And because I think the accessories that'll come third party, and now this AV1 decoding, I think I'm going to ditch the Quest Pro.
Wow.
I still got a little more time before I have to make this decision, right? So my plan is to use the Quest 3 for like nothing, like only the Quest 3 for like the next week or so, and then jump in the Quest Pro and see if I get that. Oh man, yeah, the colors and the black levels, right? But I'm anticipating that won't be the case. So I would have 3 weeks ago, I would have said that there's no way in hell this would be the story, but here we are.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
One of the things, because we were talking about this on Discord briefly, Steve, weren't we, before you came on the show, and I was saying I predicted that you'd still stick with the Quest Pro, only because I think like the local dimming capability, but also, and I know you've mentioned, I think when we spoke about this, that you didn't use the eye tracking for PC VR, which some people will get a benefit out of for Microsoft Flight Simulator and stuff like that. So I think some people, the Quest Pro will still be their preferable thing just for the performance gains that it can give in, I mean, very few, but, specific use cases.
No, and there's people out there that are going to value the color or the black level. So it's not, there is no right or wrong decision. I'm more applying it to my use case that I think right now, if I had to choose, it would be the Quest 3. When it comes to the eye tracking, like, I don't do VR chat, and to use the eye tracking in PC VR, it isn't plug and play. Like, you have to go and set it up, and then I think you have to use the OpenXR compositor and all that. So it's just like, it's just a lot to it that it's not, and I'm not playing that much Microsoft Flight Simulator that it becomes a deal breaker. So when I look at the total package and my day-to-day, utilization of VR, the things that are standing out to me is the wireless performance, right? I think the Quest 3 is going to run away there. The lenses, I think the lenses are improved upon the Quest Pro. It's the Passthrough, although it's not remarkably better. It's better enough that I can look at my Apple Watch and my iPhone, and I can better, I do a lot with mods, so which inevitably means I unfortunately have to go back to the desktop a lot and turn something on, turn something off. I can just walk over to my computer and grab my mouse, and I can see my monitors in Passthrough.
Yeah,
fine enough to accomplish that. And so that utility, I think, has me leaning Quest 3. My mind is blown that it's even a decision, because 3 weeks ago I would have said, no way, like Quest Pro, there's no way this new Quest 3 is gonna usurp it, but it likely has.
Wow. Yeah, that's a surprise for me. I mean, I think that aspect as well that you mentioned, just having the ability, I've done that numerous times, which I've never done before in pretty much, there's been no VR headsets where I've been able to just alter settings on the Oculus desktop app or something like that I want to do just momentarily while wearing a VR headset, and you can do it. I can do it so easily now. I can alter settings, I can do things without taking the headset off. So that Passthrough has, a lot of utility for that kind of stuff as well, which it's all this level of friction. It really annoys me when I've got to change settings and then I've got to loosen the VR headset, just raise it up a little bit and change the settings and put it back on and get it comfortable again. You don't need to do that anymore. I mean, you don't.
It's even worse if you wear glasses, because the amount of times I'll lift the headset up to look at my monitor and I can't see the monitor because I'm using lens inserts.
Yeah.
So my glasses aren't on, so I can't see the monitor, because then I've put my glasses on, make an alteration, take my glasses off, put the headset back on. You were saying, Lee, that there was something you could see better in the headset compared to in real life.
I couldn't, when I was first trying to set it up, I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to connect. There's some problem on my end. So I actually got the little thing at the back you pull out of your router, and then you read what the password is for it. And I could see that through the headset, but if I lifted the headset up, I couldn't. I had to put my glasses on to read it. So I actually inputted that while looking at it through the headset, because I could read it clearer. Yeah.
There we go.
Glasses are a great example. The Quest Pro is fine for glasses, and I actually like the open. The bottom of the Quest Pro being open. I thought I'd hate that, but I've gotten used to that and kind of like it.
That was exactly the same. Exactly.
Quest 3 and same for Quest 2, as a glasses wearer, I do wear contacts sometimes, but 90% of the time I wear glasses when I'm playing VR. And as a glasses wearer, I put the HMD to my face over my glasses and then pull down the strap.
Yeah.
Over, kind of like put a hat on backwards or something. With the Quest Pro, you can't do that because the strap doesn't swivel. It's just a fixed strap, so you got to kind of tilt it and roll it onto your face over your glasses, and it's all relatively minor, but it's just easier to put the Quest 3 on with this Elite strap. So every time I want to put it on, it's just a few seconds quicker, a little bit less hassle, and that utility, that friction is everything to me, I think, when it comes to VR these days. I was going
to say, sorry, Rog, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's all back down to that friction thing again, isn't it? There's all the things you can do to enhance VR, like, with all the haptic vests or the, better headphones rather than not using everything. It's every single little piece. It's just that extra layer of I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And so anything that removes that is a good thing.
Just ease of use. I mean, there's so many things that are good with this Quest 3. People might think we're nitpicking. I'm probably just saying that for one person who may be listening, really. But we're just trying to bring across the problems that people may get when they first get this headset, or something that, like Gary says on the Reddit, what's this binocular overlap? People are asking about that. But overall, this headset's fantastic. And it's painfully hurts me just to see it sat there now on my AMVR on its own because the controllers won't fit. And it's just sat there because I don't feel comfortable using it because it's just not comfortable enough for me. And I just can't wait to get this Bobo kit sorted out, and then everyone's happy, especially me, and I can get in it more. I've never been like this before with the VR headset. I'm really wanting to put it on a lot more often than like I did the Quest 2. I never wanted to wear that backed, and I only used to wear it for content creation and chatting with friends and playing multiplayer with them. But with the Quest 3, I want to get in that as soon as I can.
Yeah,
but that's a good point. That's a good point, though. Maybe we should just finish off this little segment. Like, overall, is it a good headset? Because to me, and I think you mentioned it, Lee. To me, it's a fantastic headset. Steve, what do you think?
I think, and I need to run here, so I'm going to make my point and leave the conversation. But yes, I think the Quest 3 is a success. I think it's a fantastic headset at a fantastic value. It's not perfect. No headset on the market is. It remains to be seen if this moves the needle, from a business and from an industry perspective enough. I'm not convinced that it necessarily will. I'm not convinced it wouldn't either. But no, I think if you're a fan of VR, or if it's your first time getting into VR, this product is fine, and it's good for both of those use cases. I'm an enthusiast. I'm kind of past the days of going down the Pimax route and being a daily constant tinkerer that I was, back in the VR roundtable days. So because of that, I think the Quest is fitting my needs. It's high enough fidelity. The screens and the displays are sharp and clear, and it has wireless capability. The only thing I would love to change is if it had a native video in capability, and they're not going to go that road, and I have to accept that. But so the headset gets a big thumbs up from me. And again, I want to thank you guys for inviting me on. I don't know what the next headset release on the horizon is, so I'm sure we'll find a big milestone or something and pull me in. I love doing this, without the weekly requirements. And so I will bid everybody adieu and go catch my daughter's soccer game, or for you guys, football. And as you get into what you've been playing, Portal 2 VR mod, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't have the time, other than to say I think it's a great mod, and it's a great way to experience the game, so everyone should check that out.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us again. It's always appreciated.
Alrighty, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Yep. Okay, so our final thoughts then. Mine, yes, once it's been modded, it's a thumbs up for me. Out of the box, I thought it was bad. Once I'd got the Bobo on there, I really like it. It's got its issues, but as we always say, every single headset has. To me, it's a better headset than the Quest 2 in a lot of ways. It's good enough. I just wish they'd have not gone with that stupid fabric strap again.
Yeah. So pretty much the same. I think I think it's a fantastic headset. There's a few problems with it that we've pretty much gone through pretty thoroughly in this episode anyway. But overall, there's no question it's great. And we can talk. I don't think we touched on the price as much in this actually, but I think the price of this headset, even the higher end model, you look at this as a piece of technology, and what you're getting for that price, I think, is actually incredibly good. Now we can talk about like the previous version, Quest 2, $299, £299. That set an expectation and like a precedent for what these types of headsets should cost, and I don't think that, in fact, I would even go as far as to say that price has done more harm overall to the VR industry than good, because that is not the price that these headsets should cost. So this to me is a fantastic piece of kit. I really enjoy it. I think the mixed reality stuff is a great addition. Now, at the minute, I can understand people considering it a gimmick or a novelty, and I don't blame people for thinking that, but at least it's there and it's an extra thing with this headset, and who knows where that kind of stuff is going to go in the future. So it's more or less sort of looking at the potential of that stuff as well. But yeah, I'll finish there. I think, great headset. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Lee, what do you think?
Yeah, just touching on the mixed reality thing, I've never really been a big fan of that, and just thinking that it's not really going to bring anything new that I want to see personally. But yeah, I'm really interested in seeing where that goes now. Yeah. So I've turned around, everyone. I do want to see more of that. It's sort of like an added, I wouldn't say added bonus, but it's like just something else to the headset that we didn't have before on the Quest 2 that we're getting, and hopefully devs will take more advantage of this. Well, I'm sure they will anyway. But I just totally love the lenses. I love the screens. Everything about it, apart from, I mean, like I said, I put a tweet out saying, I hate this strap, I hate this fascia. And then people put, but you're going to buy a Bobo anyway, I'll do this, I'll do that, which is fair enough. Everyone's got a different shaped face. Everyone's got a different shaped head. But the thing I thought about was, if it was added on as a price, so you got the Elite strap with the battery, which we're all going to need anyway, and you got the fascia for it. I can't remember what making material it is, but the nicer fascia for £50 as well. It takes it up to £800. Yeah, the silicon fascia. Yeah, sorry, it takes it up to £800. Now, there's no way I'd pay £800 for that headset, but would I pay £620 and then buy the accessories? Yes, absolutely, I would. So I totally see what they've done there. But point, that's my only gripe with it. But the headset itself, it's really enthused me for VR again. I'm almost to tears, if I'm honest. I absolutely love it that much. I can't wait to get in it. Yeah, just the battery life at minute sucks.
I feel the same. Yeah,
I think and Lee, just think about it. You've still not fought a virtual octopus in your living room yet.
No, I need that. So I will video that as soon as that comes out. I will fight that octopus. But it's a massive thumbs up for me. I totally love it.
I know we have sort of like criticised it, hopefully fairly, but I think the overall thing is we do actually like the headset. Yeah. But that doesn't mean we can't point out the issues it has, because while those issues might not be a problem for some people, for other people there will be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like the whole binocular overlap thing. It's like once I'm playing a game, I don't notice it. But like we've already seen, there's people sent it back because they just can't stand it.
I didn't notice it, but I probably will now. No, we've been on about it.
This is the thing. This is the final point I'll make as well. This is the thing why it's incredibly difficult to make a review of a product like this where you're wearing it. I've always said this. Wearables are far more personal to people than reviewing anything else, like technology-wise. I honestly believe that the fact is, we talk about all the subjective stuff with headsets, field of view. We can talk about rendered field of view or perceived field of view in different headsets. And perceived field of view is the one that matters. It's subjective. It's the one that means that you're either going to have a massive field of view or a small field of view, and that's going to vary so much for different people. And it's really, really frustrating when you're trying to just give an honest opinion on a piece of technology, and you get criticised or people call you out. And I'm not talking about like YouTube, making videos on YouTube. I'm talking about just on Reddit or forums that I see people constantly contradicting others and saying, no, your experience that you're getting is completely wrong. This is my experience. And this is why it's very difficult to talk about hardware. So we've tried to be as thorough as we can in this and point out some things that might affect some people, but they won't affect everybody, and that's the thing to take away from it, I think.
Yeah, but generally speaking, comfort out of the box aside, thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Definitely.
It's a stunning piece of kit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's leave all that aside
Deep breath.
and get on to what we've actually been playing this week. And the first thing, well, really on the list is it's a Quest 3 title, or you can use it on Quest 3 anyway.
Yeah.
Piano Vision, Gary, you've been playing this one.
Yeah, love it. So we got a key for this as well. And this is available, so it's only $10, I believe, launch price at least. I don't know if it's going up or something like that, but this is by Zar Apps. And this is one that's been available, I think it was on App Lab originally. I think it's available on the official store now anyway. But yeah, so you play through mixed reality, or at least I have. So I'll give my experience. There's a few different modes to this, but I've got a digital piano in my house, so I set it up with mixed reality, and it maps your keyboard, your real life, piano keyboard, 88 keys, and then it will play pretty much like a rhythm game, or I guess melody game. I guess that's what it is. It's a melody game. So you have these things coming down from the distance, like in Guitar Hero or something like that, and it teaches you how to play certain tunes, and that's really what it's all about. And if you connect it as well through a MIDI cable through USB to your headset, it will actually monitor which notes you're playing and give you a score at the end of it as well. So it really does sort of gamify learning how to play the piano. And it just works flawlessly. I mean, especially with the Quest 3, you can play this on the Quest 2, but I think the fact that it's got the depth sensor and locks everything in place with the Quest 3, it just works really well. You put a finger on the bottom key, the low end key, tap a button, and then put a finger on the high end key, and then it will map the entire keyboard in front of you, put notes on each key in MR, and you just play the songs. It teaches you how to play the songs, and it does it really, really well. This is sort of like I think this is something that can sell mixed reality and the concept of mixed reality to people that really don't like games and just want to use it for utility kind of stuff. And it's perfect. I don't know what to say. It just does what it wants to do perfectly. Yeah.
I mean, I did try going to this briefly. This was before I'd got the Bobo attached, so I wasn't in the greatest of moods. But my digital keyboard's over in the corner of the room, and I was stood in the middle of the room to start with, fired up the app, and it actually put the menu for the game over where my keyboard was. I thought, it must have sort of recognised the keyboard. I thought, that's strange. So I went and sat down in front of the keyboard, and the menu was sort of skewed slightly to the side. So I held my button to recenter it, and then the menu moved by that same amount again, off, away, and through my wall, and I couldn't get the game menu in front of me over my keyboard. So I've not even tried it. Now I've got the Bobo on the headset. I will give it another go and try and sort that issue out. I don't know what's happening, but just because of the fact I was having to wear that strap on the head, the default strap on the Quest 3, that was enough to make me say no, not bothered. I need to get a proper head strap before I can even sort of look at this again. But yeah, it does look really cool how it does it. It reminds me of some of the YouTube videos you see of learning to play songs, where you see all the lines coming down the screen.
This is what I'm going to say. My daughter's a big fan of things like this. She watches a lot of the TikToks as well, where the lines are coming down, and you can see people playing all these songs like intermediate, beginner, etc. like that. And she seemed quite interested in trying this. So I'm holding off until I've got some more comfort, like we say again. Not knocking the Quest 3, by the way. But just holding off for some more comfort for it. And then we've not got a piano ourselves, so we're just going to have to mark it out, or a keyboard, we're going to mark it out on the table. Because you can do that and use a table. But what I did see on the trailer, which is kind of weird, was somebody stood like mid-air doing it as well. So you can even mark it out just stood up. So I don't know exactly how that works. Or
I don't know how you seriously play a keyboard without a keyboard. This is the thing, because the tactile nature of it and being able to feel where your hands are. It's like sometimes, when you get to a certain point, you can move your hand down, right down the keyboard, and know where it is just from the feel of it. You'll learn to hit a key. Your fingers will feel where you are, and it's it's a skill. Once you start getting it, it's really crazy how spatially aware you become. But feel is a large part of that. And without an actual keyboard there, I don't know how it'll work.
Yeah. I would like to try it with the keyboard.
Yeah.
I've noticed Gary's got the scoring disabled on there. Any reason for that, Gary?
It's because it's not available in that mode. Although I will say, anybody watching this, eagle-eyed people will see that I'm doing absolutely appallingly here. So I'm recording this.
Actually, you're doing really well.
But I think I don't know. I've not looked into it enough to know how to get that scoring enabled, unless that's where you need to connect it through the MIDI cable, which I think. I guess it is. I think that's what you need to do. You need to connect it up through that. But
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I know I've got a MIDI cable somewhere. I'm gonna have to dig one out and give it a go. But yeah, I think there's also some sort of subscription thing you can do in this as well, isn't there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that part. No,
that's what I was going to ask about next. Yeah, because usually these things have so many songs, and then you pay extra money to get the different ones and things like that.
I could be wrong, but I swear it was in this that it mentioned something about a subscription. I don't know, but it's something I'm going to have a go at over the next couple of weeks anyway. So I'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
I mean, Roger's the Mozart out of all of us, so if anyone knows, he should.
Yes, that might be overselling my capabilities slightly. So that's Piano Vision, $10. I'm not sure how much the UK version is going to be because it wasn't. When I looked, it wasn't actually available on the UK store. There was no price.
Oh right, yeah, I don't know on that one. And we're famously not good at doing this live, so we'll move on.
Yeah. I'd say anything around $9.99.
Yeah,
probably. Anyway, Dungeons of Eternity, which we've already touched on in this, we've all played this. Keys kindly provided. This is by Othergate. This is £23, $30, and let's straight out the gate say this is a lot of fun. Gary, what did you think of it?
Yeah, so I went into this and I wanted to play. You always talk about, I don't want to play multiplayer games, Rog, and that's absolutely true. However, this one is one that I definitely want to get into with you guys, and it was just through circumstances I just couldn't quite make it when you guys were in there, but I will definitely play with you guys in this one. So I went through the tutorial and the first dungeon, and which is like a tutorial dungeon anyway, really, but absolutely fantastic. So performance is incredibly good on the Quest 3. It's mentioned previously in this episode as well, you've got these enhancements which were just automatically enabled for me anyway on the Quest 3. So I don't know what the enhancements are, if it's resolution or whatever like that, but it looked great. I mean, it really did look fantastic. Performance was great, and that's really what you want primarily with this stuff. And the fact is, it's really polished as well. There's no issues that I had with jank or anything, and I think the tutorial it's thorough, but there's a lot of mechanics as well I think you need to learn with it. It's quite deep, so I appreciated that actually. Usually I want to get through the tutorial as quick as possible, but it's teaching you a lot of different stuff. So single player, just going through single player was fun enough, so I can't imagine multiplayer what you guys experienced.
I think it comes into its own right, Rog, multiplayer wise.
It does, absolutely. The first time I played it, I went through the tutorial and the demo dungeon and whatever, and I thought, this is good. And it was on the Quest 2 at the time as well. And like I said, I've already covered it. I didn't think the dark levels, the black levels were great. It really showed up the LCD. But I was thinking, this is decent. But when we went into the multiplayer, oh man.
It was such a laugh. It was such good fun. I mean, because I was squealing and shouting. I mean, that's what I do anyway in multiplayer. But I think there's one point I saw, because you can throw weapons as well. So you've got to start off with, you've got an axe and you've got a sword, but you can actually hold it with grip and you can throw it and I've just done it with my arm there. My arm's killing from doing that bow a while. And you can throw the axe. And I saw this axe coming across and it totally destroyed this skeleton just as I was firing an arrow. So this skeleton would fall into bits in front of me, and I shot the skeleton's head off. And it flew right across the other side of where we were playing, and that just made me laugh so much. I was like, wow, that's really clever that they've included even something like that. Even when they fall into bits, you can still shoot bits of them off, and it's just a brilliant game. I loved it. I was really surprised at how good it is. It's a definite must buy, so we'll definitely put some sort of link in the description to get 25% off.
Well, quickly, just on that point, because if you do want to support the show and get 25% off, I know these links get sort of overused in reviews and stuff like that, but we're doing a podcast, so why not support the podcast and get 25% off something? So some of these links will probably be appearing in the description anyway, if you want to use that.
Yeah.
But even the things on it like the map, because you can pick like, you've not got maps that offer, you have to find it, don't you, Raj? And it's like they're all like orb type shapes. So you find this map, and then when you activate it, it gives you a 3D layout of the entire realm or dungeon that you're in, and it's really clever how they do it. The enhancements as well, Gary, that you're on about, if you turn it off, it makes it just slightly more blurred on Quest 3. It definitely sharpens it up and adds a bit more to the shadows and textures, I think. And it gives you get like more bloom. There's more bloom in it.
There's more bloom around the light sources. Yeah. I mean, I've probably had about maybe 3 hours in total in it now altogether. It doesn't hold the performance all the way through. There are the occasional hiccups, but they are occasional. There's nothing game breaking or anything like that. It's just one of those things where you sort of think, hopefully they'll keep plodding away at this and maybe sort of just optimizing little bits here and there to make it flawless. But yeah, it's such a good laugh.
I mean, there are a couple of bits. Go on then, Roger. I think I know what you're going to say. Go on.
I was going to say the only complaints I had really was the tracking issues I had. And it's like it's hard to blame a game when it's like I'm pretty sure it's probably A, the controllers, and B, my lighting. So it'll be interesting to see what
I mean, I struggled a bit with getting the arrows. I mean, my arm's killing me today. So how Legolas does all that? He must be a super fit guy. But that's really good feeling there, right? Because you sort of pull your hand over your left, like if you're right hand, you pull your left hand over and you grab and it pulls the bow out, and then you pull the right hand over the back of you and it pulls the arrow out, and then you put it towards and you pull it as if you're firing a proper bow. The mechanics of it's really, really clever. The only thing that I was kind of a little tiny disappointed with, I think, Roger, you agree with me as well. When you get these treasure chests, you pick keys up and occasionally find like treasure chests, and you put the key in to turn it, and that looks really cool. But when it opens it up, it says press A to collect treasure, and I was like, why can't I just put my hand inside the treasure chest?
Absolutely.
And press grip instead? It kind of defeated the object, really.
There's objects on the ground, hold grip in the sort of shoot towards you. Coins, same thing. You can basically force pull the coins towards you.
Really
but
cool,
you get to a treasure chest and open it. You don't hold your grip button. There's a message that literally says press A to collect treasure. It's like, why? Why is it even A? Why is it press A? Why isn't it hold grip to hold treasure? It's like,
even just put your hand in it. Just put your hand in it and then it automatically does it, and it'll show up with the 100 coins or whatever bit of armor, something you've got like that. It kind of just threw me a little bit, and
it's a bizarre. It just really stands out, doesn't it? It's like it's probably about the only thing we could. Yeah, it's the only thing we could really moan about.
Yeah,
but it's a really standout. Why? It's odd.
The mechanics of it, it's brilliant. It's a definite must buy, right? I mean,
I agree. Yeah,
it's very rare I say that for a game on Quest. Walkabout mini golf, probably about the only one.
Do you know what this is? This game is what, in my mind's eye, back in 1992, 1993, or whatever it was. This is what Legend Quest was in my mind back in those days. It really is. It's so good. Definitely.
Oh God, I want to play Legend Quest now and do like a side by side.
Because you can pick so many different maps. There's so many different arenas you can go in, right? There's so many like different things you can do in it. It's just such a good game and so in depth. And I'll just very quickly add the music score of it. When you start getting into battle, it's like being in some sort of movie. It's like being with all the music blaring out and blasting. It's like being in Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. That was really cool too.
I can't even remember.
Dude, the music's dead good, isn't it?
Yeah. Then again, it's like it's just that good. It's an atmospheric game. It's a fun game. When I was playing last night as well, and he did it afterwards as well when I was playing with Philo, there was a gap to jump across. These tall pillars were trying to get to a chest on top, and I jumped and I missed. I hooked my axe onto the edge of where I jumped, and I was hanging off on my axe.
Oh, wow.
But I couldn't pull myself back up, and I thought afterwards, oh, mate, I don't know whether you can, because when you climb a chain or a rope or whatever, you get to the top, and all you do is you point your hand forward and push your
like teleport off.
Your analog stick forward, you just teleport off, and it works really well. And I never thought to do that while I was hanging off the axe. But yeah, I couldn't pull up, and then I just fell off and plummeted to my death. But yeah, it's just like, wow, I couldn't believe the axe actually worked. But
it's one we all want to play, and jumping together. I think someone actually asked on Twitter if we're going to be playing it, and yeah, we're definitely going to play it, and I'll record it, and if I can get the settings right to record, it's a bit of a pain at the minute, try and sort out. But yeah, we'll get that on the channel as well, so you can see us all playing it. It's such a brilliant game.
Yeah, it is, definitely. So yeah, 23 quid, $30, well worth your money. So next up we've got Outta Hand. I have played this very briefly, but I think, Gary, you've probably played it more.
Well, you say that. So this is one which I'll put on the list because, we got a key for this one as well. And my daughter wanted it. That's what it came down to. So I have played a fair bit of this. So what would you call this one? It's like a traversal game, really. It's like a... Yeah,
it's a first-person platformer traversal game.
That's the puzzle as well. Most of the rooms that you go through is really getting to the exit and just trying to find a way to do it. And then there's some combat in there as well. Now, what it is, it's almost got this, it's not gorilla tag kind of movement necessarily, although you do use your hands to sort of fling yourself in different directions. That's what it's all about. So you sort of slap down, and then you'll sort of fly up into the air. And that's what the puzzle is. You're really trying to get through these levels by using this mechanic where you're throwing yourself up into the air, and you'll be sort of blown by these fans. You'll land on these collapsible platforms, and you've got to get to the next area. And the combat really comes into where you sort of use fists, and you have to punch your enemies. But also, when you do this kind of stuff, it can aid you in getting to the next platform, because if you punch down on an enemy, then you'll sort of move up and you'll jump up again and sort of get like a double jump kind of effect. So this is it. I mean, what it is, you are playing this weird blob kind of thing where you are sort of a slightly more clever blob, I suppose, than some of the other ones that are getting mangled up by this bad person. And you're working through these levels, trying to escape, trying to reach this person and then battle them. And that's what it's all about. Like I say, I've not really played enough of this to comment on it too much, honestly. My daughter has been using... We've not had a Quest 2 for about 3-4 weeks. And this is one that my daughter has had her eye on since whenever it was announced at a previous Connect. So she's been in this a ridiculous number of hours on the Quest 3. I've not been able to get it off her. And actually, most of the time, it's been when she's been stuck on a certain section and she wants me to help her get past it. And that's where it's come down to. So, yeah, I'll reserve judgment. But we did get a key for this, so I think it's only fair that I do play a bit more and maybe revisit this discussion in the future.
I think it's one to come back to. I can't fairly comment either, because I totally missed it. One of the tutorial prompts at some point somehow, because as you're going along in that initial section, it keeps telling you how to do different stuff. And I was listening to something what they were saying, and bizarrely I ended up going back and watching somebody's sort of playthrough on YouTube, and I thought, I missed that prompt. I didn't see it. I was too busy trying to look around, because it said, oh look, there's somebody trapped in the tank, you've got to free him or something. And I'm looking around and I can't even see him, and it turns out they're way up on a ledge that you can't even see at that point. And the comment on it, and I'm like confused, and I missed this prompt altogether. And it actually even shows you on the trailer what to do. It's you basically have to hit the sort of punch down with both hands, and it flings you up. I missed it. I didn't see it. So I ended up stuck. I just couldn't progress, because I'm like, how do you jump that high? And I was totally confused.
It's a bit. One thing I will say, just to finish off as well, like I do think it's really quite high production quality actually on this as well. So there's. I will also say I do think it's sort of aimed at kids generally, although there's some areas which are quite difficult. I've played through a few different areas which are not necessarily easy. So although like the aesthetic and stuff might be more towards kids, I think the difficulty is aimed a little bit higher than that maybe. But I must admit the I did struggle just with like even the locomotion to start with, because basically you're walking on your hands, aren't you? And your viewpoint's really low. I'm not a fan of that viewpoint.
my sort of proprioception sort of just like went out the window, and it's like I'm stood up here, yet my viewpoint is near floor level, and it's just there's a mismatch. I just didn't quite like that. But as I'm trying to walk forwards, my hands kept clipping the floor as I went to move my hand forward again, and I kept pushing myself backwards. And so it's like, this is, that was annoying.
I did the same thing as well, yeah, I did do that.
So you end up having to develop sort of like this bicycle motion of movement, to pick your hand up high enough so you don't hit the floor again and push yourself backwards.
I wouldn't do movement. When I was playing it, I was literally just using both hands, like slapping them down at the same time and jumping that way, rather than doing that bicycle movement. Because I found that I was moving myself backwards as well. But looking in the trailer, that's the way they're doing it, the way you're doing it, Rog, the bicycle kind of movement, which is more gorilla tag kind of movement, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is it the same sort of movement as what's that other one, like No More Rainbows or something like that? Is it very similar movement to that?
I've not played
No
that
More
one.
Rainbows?
I know the name, but I've not played the game.
Yeah, I've not either.
I think it looks similar from what I can see from the video. Because I struggle in things like this to try and play things like this. But I think my daughter would quite like to, like Gareth, to have a go at this. Yeah.
I mean, visually, I really like the design of it. It's nice.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the graphics are great, and like I say, there's no jank or anything with it at all. It's more. I mean, the overall impression is I just get it's more like a kiddie kind of game, I guess, but I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought it might be really difficult for kids, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
unless we're just getting too old, maybe we're just getting too old.
It's kind of got like a Vertigo aesthetic to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, actually,
I sort of thought Vertigo crossed with Rick and Morty.
Yeah, definitely.
For some reason, is it Mr. Me Speak or something?
Yeah.
I can't.
But it's got. You wave your hands in front of your face and stuff like that. It's got like your fingers will sort of wobble as you move them as well and stuff like this. It's got nice little touches, I think. So there's something there, but I
think it's challenging the way you have to move. It's there's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Just for the movement.
Definitely not a bad game anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's one I do want to go back to. It's just wait till I've got the Quest 3 sorted out fully with the M3 or whatever comes up.
Yeah.
So we've got a few PSVR games. They're all pretty much ports, but for the most part, they're decent. I've changed my mind slightly on one of these. Okay. But first up, and on a positive point, Ghost Signal, a Stellaris game, PSVR2 version. We did get a key sent for this again. This is by Windswept Interactive and Fast Travel Games. 16 quid. I'm not sure. It's probably maybe $20. I'm not sure. I mean, I love this game on Quest. It's so good. And the PSVR2 conversion is good as well. They've done a decent job porting it over. There's lots of things improved. I mean, aside from the fact the colours and the black levels just way better. You can see that they've improved the way they're sort of like the textures on things sort of fade in or out. On the Quest 2 version, you could see there was no like anisotropic filtering. You could see where the detailed texture suddenly just dropped away and there was just a mushy mess. With this, it doesn't seem to happen. So things are generally a lot clearer. I have seen a few people comment about it being a really soft image, and I was sort of thinking, I didn't think that. I thought it was decent enough. I mean, if you play it next to Red Matter, then okay, yeah, it's not as sharp as that or anything, but I didn't have any problem with the resolution with it or anything.
Just on that point, Rog, I went in earlier today and I don't know. The problem is when you try in different VR headsets, literally one after the other, I do think that you get this element of you don't necessarily understand perfectly the viewpoint once you've been using one for a while. And I felt like it was a little bit soft as well. But I also felt the same way of another one that we're going to discuss in a second, like Paradise Propagation Hotel. But I don't think it was bad at all. I just felt like, and maybe it might have been the lenses combination and stuff like that, but I only went in briefly anyway, just to see what it looked like, because I'd already played a fair bit of it on Quest.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a key for this just before it, probably maybe 3 or 4 days before it launched. So I've been playing it for maybe, coming up to 2 weeks or something like that, maybe. I've got 30 hours in this on PSVR.
Oh, wow.
30 hours, that's a shocker for me. In that space of
and
time.
How many hours did you have on Quest as well?
I don't know. I'd probably say in excess of 20. It's hard to count, but at least on PSVR, well, PS5, it comes up with a little, shows you've done it, and the little clock at the bottom on the front end. And so I'm in excess of 30 hours on this because I haven't over the past day or two, but I was hitting the daily the daily sort of challenge thing on there as well, because there's a leaderboard on there, and I had first place on quite a few days, so I was happy enough with that. And snuck my name into the odd video review or two on some channels.
Rog got top of the table in quite a few videos.
Yeah, on one of them I was the only person on the table because obviously it wasn't out at the time. But I love it. I mean, it's a space sort of combat.
Roguelike, isn't it? I mean, that's
roguelike.
Roguelite,
yes. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. There's something about it. It's one of my favourite games for playing while listening to podcasts as well. Because once you've played it and gone through it a few times, you know what's there. There's text for everything anyway if you need it. So you can just whack a podcast on and go through it. And it takes anywhere, when you first start playing it, an entire run will probably maybe take you an hour if you do a successful run. After you've got upgrades and things, you'll knock it down to 45 minutes, maybe close to half an hour. My fastest run at the moment is 23 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So, that shows you how much you can improve on it. And, you do sort of see the same sort of sectors and things cropping up, but it's sort of randomized each time. And I've done all 10 threat levels now. The thing that's stopping me getting a platinum is some randomization, and I'm pretty sure there's a faulty trophy. Maybe. One of the trophies is save this trader from getting attacked. There's like one of the encounters you come across. I've saved him about 10 times now, and the trophy hasn't popped.
Oh, right.
And there's some weird randomization stuff as well. One of the sectors you get to sometimes, there's a black hole, and to get out of it, I think you can either sacrifice a component, can you sacrifice credits or something like that? I can't remember. Or you can just go for a 50-50 chance of you'll escape or you'll suffer a penalty. At least 10 times I've done this now, and every time I've just gone for the 50-50 chance, and I've won the 50-50 chance every single time. That should not happen. That there's no way that should happen. I don't know if you ever saw the Darren Brown thing where he did the thing with tossing 10 heads in a row on a coin.
I didn't know.
And no, basically he showed you him doing it at the start of the show. He flipped 10 heads, not a fake coin or anything. Yeah. And it's all to do with perception. And then at the end he showed you how he did it. And basically he sat there for an entire day flipping coins into a bowl until he got 10 heads in a row.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
It took an entire day. So countless tries. Yeah. Yet with this, on my, this would be the equivalent of me flipping a coin 10 times, and on my very first attempt getting 10 heads in a row.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen. And the percentage chances on some of the other stuff as well just don't seem right. I'm sure there's something not quite right, but
to be fair, you've played this to death, so you've seen all of this.
I've got 30, I would say 30 hours on that, 20 odd plus hours on the Quest version at least. But it's I just really. This
is rivaling your Final Fantasy 14 Final Fantasy 14 playtime. Surely, actually,
it actually dragged me away from Final Fantasy 14, which is absolutely shocking. It's surprising. Well, nothing's rivaling 14 playtime at the moment. That's worrying. But anyway, the Moogle event isn't on anymore, so I'm sort of safe.
Okay.
Thumbs up from me. Great game. So next up is Paradise Propagation Hotel. Again, this is another port on PSVR2.
There's me.
And I'm showing Lee's message on this one. Yeah.
Do you know what? I recorded some footage, and it was that dark. I thought it was unusable because I did it sort of mid-game.
Okay.
And it was just terrible. All you'd have got was a black screen with a small circle
I was
of flashlight.
curious to see if it's got the stabilization features like it has on the PC, which I totally commend the developers for, because that's a brilliant addition where you can have a stabilized camera for people that's actually watching the footage. So I don't know if they got that.
Actually, I'm saying it hasn't, but I actually don't know.
It's in one of the options. I can't remember which one it is, but I put that on and it's stabilized.
Anyway, it seems a good port. The thing is now, I didn't play enough of it on PC when we had it, and I enjoyed what I did play. So on the PSVR2 version, I got through that first section what I played before pretty fast because I knew what to do and where I was going, and so I got onto sort of like a new part of the game. and it got to maybe an hour and a half in or something, and there's, again, not game breaking, but in places there's performance issues, because this thing is apparently native 120, according to the Twitterverse, and it can't hold it. There's a points where there's a lot going off compared to what there is normally. You can see it drop frame rate. So that's good. I don't know whether a 90 hertz option might have been a better idea.
Yeah, that first section. So I like Go Signal really. I just went in briefly this morning just to see what it looked like. I'd already played through a fair bit of the game anyway on PC, but yeah, I mean the frame rate from the part that I played was rock solid. Yeah. Looked great.
Yeah. For say that first hour and a half plus maybe,
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely spot on. But there was a point where I did get sort of surrounded, and the scenery as well. There was a lot of goo and goop in the scenery, and you could see the frame rate just like sort of trying to nope, can't.
It makes you wonder if they've sort of tested it so far and not tested it all the way through with that, and as well, 90 frames per second native is good enough, I think. Anyway,
yeah, it's plenty enough for this game. Yeah,
it would have been good enough. Yeah, but it's not a game breaker because it doesn't do it all the time, and it's sort of small sections where that happens. Most of the time, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just something worth pointing out. The other thing as well is I got to a point where it just ended up really annoying me because I'd killed some creatures off. I'd gone into an area, done a puzzle I needed to do. I came back out, and it seems scripted that because the zombies in this resurrect, don't they? They don't stay dead. Yeah. But I'd only killed them off like 30 seconds to a minute previously, and then they came back straight away. So it was like on my way out of here, it's just going to res everything and throw it at me again. And it just, and so these things, they get in your face. So it feels awkward when you're trying to reload your gun or whatever. You can push them away, but the pushing away mechanic sort of seems to work 7 or 8 times out of 10 for me. It doesn't always seem to connect.
Yeah.
So you're trying to push stuff away, you're trying to grab ammo, reload your gun, and then shoot them again. So, but the way they come back at you, if you push them away, they come back at you so quickly, you've got a very small amount of time. And your ammo is located before your sort of main inventory sort of pouch as well. And it felt like half the time in the middle of, trying to rush to reload, I'd reach down to grab a clip, and I'd pull something out of my inventory instead.
Yeah.
Or I was gripping the controller that tight, the grip button that tight. My thumb would also hit the button on the face of the controller, and I kept popping the map up in front of my face. And it's like, it just annoyed.
It gets frustrating.
It really annoyed me.
Yeah, I remember there's a section where you get to that. Well, I won't say the section, but you get to a certain section, and there's so much going on, and when you try to make your way back, and you've got all of these other zombies that are coming after you as well.
Yeah,
and it does get frustrating, and I think that's really what stopped me from progressing, like finishing the PC VR version.
Yeah,
that was the stage where I got to. It was like just getting frustrating, managing it was the reloading. It was. I mean, that's what it was with me.
And the fact that the total bullet sponges as well.
Yeah.
If you can avoid the zombies in this, it's worth avoiding them. But there's points where you just can't, and then it becomes a bit of an annoyance.
What
and it's
you can see on this video is me spraying health constantly.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I've not played it enough on PSVR2 anyway to comment, but I think the game itself I think it's quite well done really for what they're offering. It's short and stuff, but.
Yeah, it's done well for an indie horror game. It is budget. It is definitely budget. You look at your hands and you press the buttons on your controllers, and your hands just stay there rigid. There's no movement on them at all. They don't do anything. And bizarrely, if you move your hands about, there's like sway, there's like lag, as if there's weight to them. Yeah, but you hold a gun, and I swear that the lag goes.
Oh right. Okay.
It's as if it's the opposite way around. It's as if like the weight should be there while you're holding the gun.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
Why did devs do that though? I tell you that lag on your hand movement. I don't know why that's there in any game. I don't know why it should be there. One of the things with Vertigo too, and I don't know. I mentioned this when we were talking about it, but I don't think you guys experienced it. But I felt like there was lag on my hands in Vertigo 2 as well. For some reason, I don't know why anyone would do that in a VR game.
Yeah. I understand how they do it if you're holding what's supposed to be a heavy object and they're trying to simulate weight. But when your hands are empty...
Exactly, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
My real-life hands are moving faster than my virtual, way faster than my virtual ones. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, what I will
anyway, this thing...
very quickly say, just before you finish, Rogers, if anyone is intrigued by the video you are watching, then why not nip back my channel and check out the full video there, please? I quite enjoyed making this video, and I think I'm not like loads of views on it, and I was quite disappointed because I thought I'm pretty good in this. So yeah, please go check it out. Put my views up.
YouTube.com/DazedNetic. Link in the description.
Yeah,
that's it. But anyway, yeah, 16 quid, $20. If you're a horror fan, I think there's fun to be had with this because I thought it was atmospheric, and it's not often I think horror games have got much atmosphere.
I think it's the corridors as well, right? Because you're in these corridors and it's all really creepy and the lighting. Yeah, definitely give me some like claustrophobic feels and
in PSVR2, it really is dark. It really is dark to the point that I think it's over dark in places. But if horror games sort of really get to you, this one will. So maybe check that out. Last on the list, Gazzlers. Again, another port. It's just a fun game. Wave shooter. You're literally on rails, and I think it's a lot of fun. I really like this. I played it on PC, Quest, and PSVR2 now. Bizarrely, the PSVR2 version has got that same... I mentioned a weird reprojection double image problem on the Quest when you were in the menus and when you got to the end of a level, but while you were playing the game, it was fine. The PSVR2's got the same problem. In the main menu on the front, you move your hand about, you can see a double image. It doesn't look like normal PSVR2 reprojection. It's more of a solid double image. You sort of think, Quest did this. What's going on? The PC version via Airlink didn't.
That's weird.
So I'm thinking, what is going off? But you get into the game and we're like, oh, it's smooth again. And then you get to the end of the main level and it's like, oh, it's back. So there's something really weird going off. So it's what I don't understand it. Saying that on one playthrough of it, and it only happened once. I was playing one of the first levels, and I could see it was starting to do reprojection in the level itself, and I don't think it's happened since. Bizarrely, it wasn't the standard looking sort of PSVR multiple image reprojection. It looked like the old sort of like Oculus wavy wobbly underwater reprojection.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what is going off? I just couldn't understand it, and it was doing it quite a bit. But I've been in since, and it hasn't done it again. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to push it because I think, is this native 120 again?
I don't know on this one.
I can't remember. It's a native frame rate. It's either 90 or 120, and I can't remember which. But maybe they're trying to push it a bit too. If they're pushing it to 120, maybe it's one that should drop to 90 just to keep that performance overhead. But yeah, it's a fun wave shooter, a roguelite again. You upgrade between levels, play the same levels, go through it again, try and get further, but with more power ups. Generally a thumbs up from me anyway.
Yeah. I didn't play this on the PSVR2 yet, but I played a little bit on PC and on Quest as well actually now. So it's a good game. It's a good game for what it is.
But yeah, Blockbuster Games and Odders Lab, 16 quid, $20. I think it's worth it. And I think that's pretty much all we've been playing for this week.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I've played a bit. I've played a couple of games I can't talk about, unfortunately. And I just want to briefly just say, I played Red Matter 2. Kindly, the devs gave us a key, and I played that on the Quest 3, and it's stunning. I've only ever played up to that same bit, Rog. When you watch my video, I've still got no further than that, which is about 25 minutes in it. But I played that first 25 minutes, and it ran smooth as anything. I had no glitches, no performance issues. It was totally stunning.
I don't want to put it on Quest 3 just because I might end up going through it yet again. And it's like, there's no need.
It does look really good on Quest 3. I've got to say,
it's not like I think we spoke about it. I said on our Discord, it's not far off PSVR 2. And people might say, very much doubt it. But with how Vertical Robot make their games and optimize their games, it really isn't. It's perhaps a tad little bit softer here and there, but that's the only difference I could tell. I mean, I've not got a PSVR 2 anymore, unfortunately, but I can't really comment on that.
I'll be able to tell because I picked up a save when I tried it halfway through the game, so I'd need to sort of start from the beginning again, I think, to test it against the PSVR2, because I know those areas better. But I mean, it looks really sharp. You know what we're going to get with it.
yeah, really good. And a bit of Half-Life Alyx. I played on PCVR, just testing virtual desktop out. I did have troubles with Airlink. I won't go on too much, so people aren't bored. But yeah, the quality on Airlink I couldn't get right, but virtual desktop spot on, and I can notice such more details. I was like looking at walls and looking at the linings of the wallpaper. That's what I do with Half-Life Alyx. I'm pretty sad like that. I used to look at dials and see the numbers on the dials going around. I must do that, actually. I must get to that point where I did on my Pico 4 video and look at the dials to see if it looks any clearer.
I went into Half-Life. I went into Half-Life Alyx as well, actually.
We all do, right?
Yeah,
that's what we do.
And it's like, but the thing is, I don't understand why you have such problems with Airlink, Lee. What is it? What do you know?
Quality-wise, it doesn't look as clear and as detailed. I mean, I have got it set to 100 megabytes per second on the quality slider thing that's in it. I think it's because I can alter so many things on virtual desktop. The settings, you can alter every slight little thing to try and make it run a little better. So I've got it, uprest and things like that. So maybe that makes a difference. But it's just totally night and day. It's totally night and day between that and Airlink for me.
It's definitely not night and day for me. I will use Airlink quite happily. Although, yeah, you're right. I mean, virtual desktop has so many more little options that you can change if you want to dial it in a bit more. But yeah, I have a great time in Airlink as well. It baffles me because almost everyone will bash Airlink and say virtual desktop is great, and I don't doubt that that's true, but for me it's just not. It really isn't. And I have a great time in Airlink as well most of the time. But
I used to use Airlink. I used to use Airlink most because I used to use Oculus Mirror because of the stabilization, so it's better for using doing the video stuff. And now Oculus Mirror's broke and doesn't seem to work right. If Meta's listening, are they ever going to update that? Who knows? But yeah, so I've just been using virtual desktop because it's just an easier experience for me, really. Yeah.
I've had a mix at times. Like it always seems to depend on what phase of the moon it is and what version of what version we're on the Quest sort of release. Sometimes Airlink's been great. Sometimes virtual desktop's been great. Sometimes they've both been great. Yeah. Other times both have been terrible. It's just so random, but. I've got a new router now, so I'm on 6E.
Okay, right, yeah. We didn't get into that, so I've tried my 6E router a fair bit with it. Have you tried it much yet, Rog?
No, not really. I mean, it's hooked up to it, but I've not tried it through PC yet because I keep looking at my thing just in case Amazon's going to ring the doorbell. I've got a new graphic card finally after all this time on the way, so I will be looking forward to trying.
Wait, what graphics card?
A bit of PC.
What graphics card you got?
4070 Ti on the way.
So you're upgrading from a, what is it, 1080 Ti?
1080 Ti.
1080 Ti, yeah.
So
it's not much of an upgrade then.
No, you should be laughing with that, I think. But I've tried I've got a TP-Link AXE 5400, the 75 AXE 75. Just to try it. This is the one that's recommended on the virtual desktop Discord, and I've been in various PC VR titles, honestly. Now, I've also got a separate router, both of these are dedicated as well, just a standard Wi-Fi 6 router. And honestly, I can't tell the difference between these. Now, it might be different for you because what we were hearing earlier from Steve,
this is
the AV1.
This is part of the reason. It's like, and with the whole thing with Nvidia probably not dropping the 50 cards till 2025, it's like I've got to the point now where it's like, regardless of the price, I can't hold on any longer. It's got too much. Even so, there's PC stuff coming out now that it's like, I played demos of some upcoming PC stuff, and it's like, it's finally got to the point where, I can happily play this even if I turned some options down. I've turned options down, and this ain't running well now. It's too much. I mean, for half a second, I did seriously consider a 4090, but I thought it's too much money. I can't, as much as I want one, it's too much. The price differential between getting what I've got and the 4090 pays for a motherboard, RAM, and processor upgrade.
Yeah. I tell you, I've been on the edge really quite a few times with the 4090 stuff because I don't know what the. I know like your card that you're getting a 4070 will be like significantly like improvement over my current card as well. But I'm not. I don't want to make that much of a. What I want is a big improvement, and it's
not enough of an improvement.
I want to, and that means waiting. Really, I suppose. I mean, the 4090 is an option, but it's just too much. Like you say, Roger, it's difficult really to pull that trigger on that amount of cost.
It was tough for me anyway, because I remember when I bought my 1080 Ti, that was, at the time, it was just over 600 quid, and the price had come down. It was during the crypto thing. The price had bizarrely come down for this one card, and then I bought it for like, it was just over 600 quid off Amazon. The following week, it went up to 900.
Yeah.
Because the whole crypto thing was that weird and bonkers at the time. I thought at the time, that I said this before, I thought I will never pay 600 quid for a card again, because I'd always gone with the 70 series cards. I'd always gone mid-range, always. You know, sort of the 200 to 300 quid range. And so 600 at the time was like, I will never pay this again. And then look what happened. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, it was just too much. It's got to the point, it's like, I can't hold off anymore. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
I know people out there will say, oh, you could have got a better performing card AMD-wise for the same money. And yes, you can. No. But I was like,
too much a pain in the arse.
VR, AMD. Every time I've bought AMD, I've regretted it every single time. Yeah. And I'm just not doing it anymore. It's like, yeah, you get some better performance in rasterized games, but at least with the NVIDIA cards, the ray tracing starts. If you want to play about with turning ray tracing options on, the NVIDIA cards win every time. So, and for just the sheer sort of peace of mind of I will have less trouble with this NVIDIA card than will with an AMD.
Plug and play, you probably turn and never bother with it ever again. That's what usually happens with NVIDIAs. I mean, I'm not saying they do have the problems now and again, but I've never had no issues with mine.
I know you're paying more, but at the end of the day, give me an Intel chip, give me an NVIDIA card, give me less worries.
I've got a t-shirt.
That's
that sounds like a t-shirt slogan. Give me an NVIDIA chip. Give me an Intel.
Oh dear.
Right.
Dude, I want to get that printed on a t-shirt. You know that, right?
We've been going on bloody ages, this one. I knew it was going to be a long one anyway, but...
Well, I was just about to say, do you want me to talk about the stuff I did, or are people still listening, or what? Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I was going to say... Do you want to do the Behemoth thing quickly, and then we can get on to very briefly the other stuff? But
have we got other stuff?
Yeah, it's the top stuff
I've got to talk about.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we've not really put anything else on the list apart from the Behemoth news, which has been now from Skydance's. This was the amazing looking. Well, it looked too amazing. It was a pre-rendered trailer. There's so much doubt over it. It's been delayed until late 2024 now, hasn't it? So. That's all there is to say about it.
I guess it is,
and you've really not kept up with any other news, because it's all been it's been Quest 3 on it, and all the lead up to that, and then the launch of it. So there's been enough talk there. So going back up to the top, what have we missed?
Oh, is it me?
Yes. Zero Latency.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Last weekend I was kindly invited to Zero Latency in Nottingham, which isn't a million miles from where I live. You can probably see where I live on the bus in reverse. But I I got invited. Game on Scorpio told me it was going to be in Nottingham on the Saturday. I was like, dude, I live like 20 minutes away from there. I'll come and meet up. And it was like, oh yeah, but I'm going to this like Meet Space VR with some other people. And he said, I'll try and get you in. I went, oh no, don't bother. I don't really want to push in and stuff like that. But anyway, they did message me back and saying, yeah, you're coming down tomorrow. You're going to play this game with us. So it was very kindly Thumb Culture who sorted it out. And Steve from Thumb Culture managed to get me in, and I'd not played this before. I know you guys have played it, but the version I played, you can see me trying to pick the gun up. Oh, haven't you?
I haven't played any location based.
Oh, right. It's really weird. What I will say is it's all wireless now. You can see the headsets. There's no backpacks or anything. You've just got your headset on. You've got your headphones on, and you've got the gun that weighs a ton. Look how I walk in there. I was just it was so bad. They were like waiting for me all the time because I was like really nervous walking across these planks and that, because we don't do this, right? We usually use a thumbstick to move. So to have that open space, it even messes with your brain even more. That even though you're walking like you are in real life, I just couldn't get my head around it. But this was like a Far Cry, maybe like based on Far Cry 3, I think. Experience where you're going down various lifts and you're fighting, and there was actually two groups. So there's group 4 was us, and there's another group, but you're not fighting each other, you're like playing together against various enemies coming out of you. And yeah, it's about 35-minute experience. I really enjoyed it. The headset wasn't that great. I did moan to them about the headset when they said it was new tech. I said, no, it's not. It's like a couple of years old. I think it's the Bifocus 3s, I believe. So we used them. So I couldn't quite dial in the IPD and stuff. It just looked a little blurry for me. So whether or not it's just the Fresnel lenses or what, I just couldn't get it clear enough. But I think Scorpio said the same as well. But yeah, it's a great experience. I had a really fun time playing that. And I think it's something like 20 quid or £30 each to have a go. I'm not sure because I've
Nottingham, isn't it? Did you say Nottingham?
Yeah, Nottingham, yeah. I think they said that there was 2 places in the country now that's got this new tech, and Nottingham was one of them. But yeah, it was a good experience. Definitely recommend getting that. Grabbing a load when you're getting down.
That's where the old Legend Quest used to be, down in Nottingham.
It's literally when you get off the bus as well. So as you get off the bus, you walk straight up the steps, and it's there. It's facing you right before you enter Victoria Centre. So yes, it's a great time, and I just want to thank Thumb Culture for letting me use them clips as well, because I couldn't record. I wasn't allowed to record, set it up or anything like that. And I did ask, can you hold my camera in that? But I mean, they can't do that really. I think I hassled them enough while I was there. I think they were a bit annoyed when I said this wasn't new tech, but
oh well.
But no, yeah.
To be honest, the price per minute hasn't actually really gone up over 30 years.
Yes,
yeah. But no, I just want to say thanks to them and Scorpio as well. I just want to briefly mention Scorpio very quickly because he's actually gone to EGX. A lot of VR content creator down at EGX this weekend, and he's actually sending up me a retrofit, the Bobo M3 retrofit kit. He's been, I know. I said to him, well, don't show it, don't get it out in the open. Do you know what I mean? It's like a unicorn, especially in the UK, as you can't get any stock anywhere at the minute because of some sort of Prime Day deals. But I won't go into that. But yeah, so hopefully I can get that this weekend and get that sorted on. So I just want to thank him for that, and I hope it's a great time. And I'm shame I can't come down, dudes, but I'll see you all next year, I'm sure.
Well, hang on, Roger. I don't know why you're complaining. I printed you out some absolutely fantastic, perfectly working adapters for the Bobo anyway. So, yeah, absolutely. I bet you're loving them, aren't you?
Did you have to put the cable the other way around there, Rog? Is it that one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not an issue. It's not a problem. It's just the way the adapters fit onto the onto
the problem is as well.
To see what Bobo's done then.
Yeah, I think because these are sort of like a makeshift adapter that somebody put out. So if you've got like a 3D printer, you can sort of work out a way to get the Bobo attached. But I think it's got some problems, and the problem is as well the different types of plastic that you print with, they're not necessarily they're too rigid sometimes as well. So, but yeah, I think of course they're going to release the adapter for the M2 to M3. What I want, and the one thing that would probably tempt me away from the Elite battery strap, other than the ability to return it to Amazon and get £130 back, is the M1. If they did if Bobo did an M1 equivalent, I would love that. That's the kind of strap that I want to use for the Quest 3.
I'm sure they will do, because I had that set up on the Pico 4, where I've never really been a big fan of the top strap, but no. I bought like a 10 quid. It was a lot. The Pico 4 was really comfortable for me anyway, but I bought like a 10 quid thicker band that you put across the top of your head, and honestly it was like wearing a fluffy cloud on top of my head. It was that comfortable. It took all the weight off whatsoever. And I think with these being 40% thinner at the front, don't know if I mentioned that, I don't know, but the Quest 3 being so thinner on the front, I think having that will be better than having the Halo type strap of the Bobo. But we'll see. I'll let you know what I think of it as well.
The only thing with the M2, it feels more like putting a helmet on rather than like just a thin sort of headset. That's the only thing. I think it's comfortable, and I used it for a long time, but yeah, that's the only thing for me.
Oh man, I just realised. Shout out to the Coffee and VR guys who are actually back and live as we're recording this. So we're missing their return. Yeah.
We thought we would be done by then. Easier. We've gone way over. Yeah. Right. Quickly, can I just very quickly mention?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if you've tried these yet, Rog, anyway, but yeah, the Globular Cluster PH2. These are headphones for the PSVR2. Now, I got sent these just to give it a review, and I'll probably make a very short video on my own channel at some point with these. But yeah, they're great, basically. I mean, the audio quality is serviceable. It's not going to blow you away or anything like that. And they're not going to replace like a really high quality pair of headphones. But the fact is, as we mentioned earlier on in this show, I'm the kind of person that's just going to take convenience over like ultra high quality audio, and these are, I mean, the good enough audio, don't get me wrong. I think it's perfectly good enough audio, and the fact is that you can click these onto your PSVR2, have one thing that you're just picking up the headset, putting it on, and you're away to go. So yeah, I love them. And yeah, I'm going to use these without question. When Roger returns them to me, I'm going to use these all the time because
What headphones? What are you talking about? I've not got any headphones.
Yeah. So once you've had a quick test of them, Rog, I expect them to be back in the mail to me. But yeah, once you've given them a try, then I'll be looking forward to hearing your impressions on them as well.
I mean, that's a very nice looking PSVR 2 you have there, Gary.
It is, yeah. A little bit damaged, I think, when I got it. I don't know if they could offer me a refund or anything. Yeah, so that's pretty much all to say, but I'll release a video with a little bit more detail on anyway. But yeah, I do recommend them for people that don't want necessarily the highest quality audio, but convenience.
Yeah.
I've just had a thought. Are you going to want me to do the timestamps for this video? It's going to take me 3 hours to go through it all.
Either you or Rog, I don't care.
I'll do the timestamps. Don't worry about that. If you sort everything else out.
I can do
this is discussion after the podcast. What are we doing here now?
Yeah, just usually when we finish that. Yeah, I thought we'd already got it.
That's it.
Well, we should finish off anyway.
So, is that it?
I think so. Yeah.
We're good to go.
That sounded so enthusiastic. Well, is that it?
Oh my god!
It's been.
I'm dying for a cup of.
It's been like 3 hours.
It's been hours, dude. I've got to go to the tip. I was supposed to be taking a bed to the tip.
It's like
it's short soon.
It's been an hour and a half since I've had a cup of tea.
Jesus.
It's like it's killing me. Oh man. So anyway, this is our. Well, if you're listening to this, then you have found the podcast's new home on its own dedicated channel now. So thank you so very much for coming over here, listening. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends and neighbours about us. We're so grateful for your listening. Cheers, everyone.
See you next time.
Take care.
Absolutely perfect. What a sign off.
That's the first time we've ever done it. Plus, Lord of the Rings is going to be shorter than this.
Yeah, this is like nearly 3 hours. This is bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's. Can we blame Steve?
Yeah, I think.
No, it's all good.
Do you think that works?